from Turner Field. It's Game 2 of the Division Series as the Astros look to even the series against the '97 model Atlanta Braves. Lofton's going to try for 2. And he gets 2. He launches one. That one is gone. 3-2. Struck him out. Kenny Lofton, the new man at the top of the Braves lineup, restated his past playoff prowess. A double, 2 fly balls, 1-0 home team. Then a Ryan Klesko homer, the winning run. Greg Maddux, anchor of the finest staff in baseball. His complete game proved to ace Darryl Kyle that 2 hits and 2 runs were too many. The Killer Bees, 12 at-bats, Biggio, Bagwell, Bell, blank. First, the Astros battle to win their division, and now must fight back against a perennial favorite. And just another Cy Young Award winner, Tom Glavine. The pressures of the second season. It is another perfect day for baseball in Atlanta from Turner Field, Game 2 of the 1997 National League Division Series, and the Braves are leading the Astros 1-0. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller. My partner, Joe Morgan, is in Seattle. I'll pick up with him again tomorrow at the Kingdome. And so we went here on the 1st of October to, of course, Mr. October, Reggie Jackson. And Reggie, today, Tom Glavine on the mound for the Astros. The Astros badly, of course, in need of a victory. And you were there many times. Postseason play, big ball game, facing a great pitcher.
Well, anytime you face a great pitcher, John, you've got to be cognizant of the fact that before he gets rolling, before he gets smooth and gets comfortable on the mound, there's always a window of opportunity. When I played with the Yankees, played with Oakland, we always knew that we had to get to that particular guy early before he got comfortable, because once he set sail, you could just about forget about it. Also recognize that you're facing a guy like Glavine. Recognize that he keeps the ball down, sinker ball pitcher, keeps the ball away from you. Be patient and try to hit the ball the other way.
All right. So that is the job for the Astros today against Glavine. Now, Mike Hampton on the mound for the Houston Astros, and he was outstanding after the All-Star break. He finished up winning 12 of his last 15. Our Kevin Kennedy has some comments about Hampton.
John, Mike Hampton had one of the best second halves in baseball. He struggled early in the season. Larry Dierker even took him out of the rotation for 8 days to work on one pitch, that being a hard sinking fastball. Once he got that down, this turned his season around. To go along with this, you're going to see a good changeup. The infield defense for the Astros has to be on their toes, because if the sinker is on, they're going to get a lot of ground balls. Mike Hampton's working off a lot of confidence, and the Astros will need that today if they're going to even this series against the Braves.
All right, Kevin, the big crowd is gathering at Turner Field, and we're just moments away from getting started. Game 2 of the 1997 National League Division Series. Glavine facing Biggio and Bagwell and the Astros. ESPN's presentation of the 1997 Division Series is brought to you by Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. And by Timex Ironman Triathlon. With all-day Indiglo, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Another sensational day here in Atlanta. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. And Larry Dierker, in his first postseason as a Major League manager, trying to concoct a victory today against the Atlanta Braves. And Dierker saying that he thought maybe his ball club would be more patient at the plate today against Glavine. We'll see. Here's the Astros Pepsi starting lineup as decided by Larry Dierker. Craig Biggio leads it off at second base, then Derek Bell in right field, Jeff Bagwell at first base. Those three were 0 for 12 yesterday against Maddux. They never so much as reached base even on an error. Luis Gonzalez left field. Richard Hidalgo, the rookie, is in center field. Bill Spires in the lineup against a left-hander. At third base, hitting sixth. Ricky Gutierrez is at shortstop, batting seventh. Brad Ausmus is the catcher. And on the mound, a 15-game winner. And he was particularly effective in the second half of the season. He finished winning 12 of his last 15. That is Mike Hampton. Still awaiting the arrival on the field of the Atlanta Braves, Greg Maddux yesterday. And Reggie, it was interesting. Maddux, who pitched such a beautiful ball game, allowing only the 1 run, 7 hits. He said that he thought he could have been better.
Well, I thought he could have been better as well. I mean, when you turn around and win the ball game, then you can be as good as you can be. But there were some opportunities yesterday where the Astros had chances to score some runs, and he got away with it.
And now today, as Darryl Kyle perhaps lamenting the fact that for the second time this year, he pitched a game against the Braves, allowing only 2 hits, and he lost both games.
Well, it's a shame that a guy pitches the way he did yesterday and winds up being a loser, because he certainly, I would almost say, outpitched Greg Maddux, but wound up on the wrong end of it.
And the Braves now take the field. And one thing, too, Reggie, in the aftermath of the victory, everybody was talking about Maddux and the great job that he did, and rightly so. But is there some concern with the Braves in that after the first pitch home run leading off the second by Ryan Klesko, they never got another hit in that ball game yesterday. I mean, their offense really got shut down.
I think there has been some concern about the Atlanta Braves. Yes, they did finish 3rd in the league in batting average, and they do score some runs, but their power numbers are down, so there would be some concern. As a matter of fact, they need to prove to me that they can come from behind, because this ballpark has not been friendly for them. They do not have anyone that has any more than 24 home runs.
Well, Tom Glavine is on the hill. And, of course, with this Atlanta ball club, you always think of that great pitching. Glavine had an outstanding year, and a much better year, really, than his one-loss record would indicate. He was the hard luck man on the staff. Every staff seems to have one. When he pitched, they just did not score many runs.
Taking a look at the Atlanta Braves defense, the big change that you see there today, of course, with Javi Lopez behind the plate, a better thrower, better overall offensive player, bringing 23 home runs into the game, so they're a better team today.
And that, of course, is always important with a left-hander going, because this Braves ball club looks much different in terms of its lineup and its ability to generate runs when a left-hander is facing them. I mean, they've got the top left-handed power in guys like Lofton, McGriff, Klesko, and Chipper Jones is not nearly as good a hitter batting right-handed.
Just 1 home run as a right-hand hitter and a .250 batting average, so you certainly would think offensively that it is advantage Astros today.
Here we go now. Biggio, who swung at the first pitch yesterday and grounded out, takes a called strike, and right away, just as Reggie had mentioned, there is Glavine going to the outside right around the knees. And that's into the first of 100 pitches we'll see around that part of the plate today from Tom Glavine. Biggio, Bell, and Bagwell. And that's low. The last time a National Leaguer scored more runs than Biggio scored this year, he scored 146 runs, was 1932. Chuck Klein, a Hall of Famer, scored 152 that year. Red McGriff way wide of the bag. Glavine covering. There is one away.
Those are the little things, John, that the pitchers do so well on the Atlanta staff. Such a fundamental, what they call PFP, pitching fielding practice. Watch him cover the first base side of the, get over the first base there right away, and plenty of time to handle the throw easily.
And again, going to the outside against Biggio. One away.
Pretty much take a look, folks at home watching the ball game. Watch where Lopez sits. He sits with the outside corner right in the middle of his stance.
Here's Derek Bell, and that went too far outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Bell had the 0 for 4 yesterday. All 3 of them did, Biggio, Bell, and Bagwell. These 3 hitters hit 60% of Houston's total home runs for the year. That's a strike on the outside. You can see right away Bell did not look very pleased with that call by Rapuano. Ed Rapuano is the home plate umpire.
The Atlanta pitching staff unequivocally has an advantage, the strike zone being wider, although I believe that all National Leaguers have a wider strike zone than they do in the American League. But it's not like it's a surprise. You recognize it, and you play the game that way, looking for the ball away because the plate is wider.
1 ball and 2 strikes now to Derek Bell. Larry Dierker expressed the sentiment that he thought the Astros would be a much more patient ball club today against Glavine. To the inside, strike 3 call.
Tommy Glavine really lulling Derek Bell into a sneak attack, if you will. Fastball away, strike one. Same way, strike two. And bingo, strike three with a surprise inside. Great exhibition of pitching.
So now they know that he will go inside. A little added element. Here is Jeff Bagwell. Lopez sets up outside. 0-1. Bagwell did not look a whole lot more patient there than he looked yesterday.
Well, you don't get a lot of good pitches that hit. I'm sure that Jeff is looking for the ball away. That ball was up, although on the outside part of the plate, he went after it.
Too far away. 1 ball and 1 strike. These three, Biggio, Bell, Bagwell, not only hit 60% of the Astros homers, the three of them had more than 40% of all the RBIs for the club this year. Again off the outside. 2-1.
I've noticed already with the miles per hour that he's thrown a couple of fastballs just by taking a little bit off the ball. Not really a changeup, just kind of a dead fish, if you will, changing speeds ever so slightly. 90 miles an hour, 84, 85, and of course the changeup would be in the low 70s, mid 70s.
3-1 now to Bagwell. Glavine has said that this year he will throw mostly fastballs, although, as you mentioned, changing speeds at times. There's ball 4 to Bagwell, so he reaches base for the first time in this series, and now Luis Gonzalez, the cleanup hitter, will come up. Bagwell now is also not a sure thing to just hang on. I mean, he's not your typical slugger, as he has, for the year, stolen over 30 bases, 31 steals altogether, and is the first baseman in history ever to have had more than 40 homers and more than 30 steals in the same year.
First baseman really not known for speed. They have to really think hard to try to think about first baseman with a lot of speed. They have power and usually are great hitters. Very seldom do you find one with great speed. I can't think of one now as I'm talking.
0-1 the count. That's a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike to Gonzalez. Now, he had a couple of hits yesterday against Greg Maddux, although one of those was a pop-up that got lost in the sun. And again, the sun is going to be vicious today because we do not have a cloud anywhere overhead. Bagwell is back. Reggie, you mentioned having that window of opportunity against even a great pitcher. For Glavine, over the years, the first inning has often been the inning to get to him.
Now, Tom Glavine refuses to throw a strike. He will not give in, they say, to his grandma.
That's foul.
But they say he won't give her a pitch to hit. And usually, the fellas I've played with, the great players of the past, whether it be with the Yankees or the Angels or the Oakland A's, we always knew before we left the clubhouse that when that opportunity presented itself, and it would always be there early, John, that you have to jump on that pitcher. You've got to score on them early.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Too far away. 2-2. We saw Glavine on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, Labor Day weekend in Boston, and the Red Sox jumped on him early. A couple of quick runs, and everybody hit the ball to the opposite field against him. And then in the second inning, they did it again, and then Mo Vaughn hit a double play to win the inning, and they never touched him again the rest of the night. Fighting it off, Gonzalez. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. Because then again, Glavine is one of those guys who can rise to the occasion. And he pitched perhaps the most dominating game ever seen in a World Series clincher. Game 6 in 1995 against the slugging Cleveland Indians. He pitched a 1-hitter for 8 innings and won the game 1-0. His goal is the goals of all the Braves to get to the series. That is what the season is all about. Well, he went inside there to Gonzalez, running him off the plate. Full count now. Hidalgo, the rookie, is on deck.
Went back inside after going away a couple of times to try to strike him out. So we'll see what he tries to do with that pitch, whether he just tried to get him off the plate to try to go away.
Lopez moves outside. Bagwell runs. And it's a pop foul out of play. Still 3-2.
Very early, but again, an opportunity for the Braves to do something, get a base runner on. These are opportunities that do not present themselves with the great starting pitching of the Atlanta Braves.
3-2 the count to Gonzalez. Here goes Bagwell. Another pop foul and out of play. Still 3-2.
Bagwell getting loose early in the ball game, getting his running in.
Yesterday, a crowd of 46,467, but not a sellout here at Turner Field. And we see some empty seats again in the upper deck down the right field line again for game 2. Bagwell running. Gonzalez is fighting off everything Glavine's throwing up there right now.
Gonzalez doing a good job. He's getting a chance to see the different speeds that he has on the ball. That last pitch, 83 miles an hour. The one before that, 91 miles an hour. Really, Tom Glavine mixing up his pitching, has not thrown very many breaking balls. He's using the off-speed pitch with a fastball, just putting a little on, taking a little off.
Well, this will be the 10th pitch of the at-bat. Bagwell runs. Blauser. And the inning is over. 22 pitches, but nothing for the Astros. The Braves are coming up against Hampton. The Astros nothing, and the Braves are coming up. Game 2 of the 1997 National League Division Series between the Astros and Braves. Now the Pepsi starting lineup for the Atlanta Braves. It'll be Lofton in center field, Blauser at short, Chipper Jones at third base, McGriff hits cleanup. Then a change in the lineup. Javi Lopez is in there today after sitting out yesterday, and he has been very strong in the postseason. He was, in fact, the MVP of the National League Championship Series last year. It'll be Andrew Jones, who was that first game sensation in the World Series last October in right field. Ryan Klesko drove in the winning run yesterday in left, batting 7th. Tony Graffinino is at second base, hitting 8th. Lockhart sits out, and Glavine is the pitcher, batting 9th. And on the mound for the Houston Astros, a young lefty that Glavine says reminds him of him, Mike Hampton.
He has to keep the ball down because he does change speeds, pretty much pitches hitters away. But he has to have his good control in order to be successful, John.
So Kenny Lofton will lead it off against him here. And of course, Lofton made it happen right away in the first inning yesterday, which in hindsight was certainly a key sequence in a game which they won by 1 run. He got a bloop double, hustling it into a double. Took third in a fly ball, scored in a fly ball. Huge run. And ball 1 from Hampton. Hampton will pitch inside more often than Glavine, especially to right-handed hitters. He's got a good cut fastball, which is important for him. Hampton belts one. Right center field. Hidalgo going back. Makes the running catch at the warning track. There is one away. Hidalgo showed that he can move pretty well on that one.
Very nice play by Richard Hidalgo. Knows he has the ball all the way, watches the ball, never takes his eye off it, recognizes where he is, that he's not near the fence. Of course, he would recognize that if he came on the warning track. Very fine play by Richard Hidalgo.
And there is ball 1 to Jeff Blauser. Hidalgo is a guy that has a chance to be the regular center fielder next year. Nice pickup by Bagwell. Hampton gets the put out. And so the Astros are flashing the leather here in the first inning. 2 down and nobody on.
First to change today, again behind the plate. Errol Kyle having his personal catcher behind the plate, but today, the video catching today, Brad Osmus today, a little better thrower, better percentage, throwing runners out. Shakes the ball club better defensively today.
Chipper Jones, the hitter. And again, as Reggie mentioned, as a right-handed hitter, Chipper Jones is an entirely different man. As a lefty, he is a huge run producer, but as a right-handed hitter, 250, and in 196 at-bats, he hit only 1 home run. 3-0 the count, though, to him.
Well, there are many times what happens with a player like Chipper Jones is late in the ball game, they'll bring in a left-hand pitcher in order to turn him around right-handed and take the power away.
But here Hampton walks him on 4 pitches. So he showed a great deal of respect for Chipper Jones, even though Chipper has not done well right-handed. Now he'll face the lefty, Fred McGriff.
Couple of balls hit well. Lofton hits the ball well. Fine play by Jeff Bagwell. Base on balls to Chipper Jones. So Hampton not quite settled down yet, not comfortable.
So a window of opportunity may exist here early for the Braves.
Absolutely.
On the outside, or I thought, but call the ball. Played off the outside, apparently. Fred McGriff looking for his first hit of the series. No score, 2 down. Chipper Jones, who is capable of stealing a base at first. And Hampton right now all over the place. He missed badly there. 2-0. Now this is a young guy in the big show, the big stage of the postseason for the first time. And McGriff has had his moments against Hampton, as you can see there.
Certainly poised for a moment at this particular time because he's got a 2-0 count, and Hampton has been struggling early. So we'll see if the crime dog gets the ball to smash.
2-0 the count. Nice pitch. 2-1. Well, a real big pitch for him to make, and he made it.
Very nice pitch. He keeps this ball down in the strike zone. Little tail on it. Nice little slider there from Mr. Hampton.
And Chipper Jones back to the bag at first. Hampton, ironically, has been tougher against right-handed hitters than he has been against the lefties. Facing the lefty here. 2-1 to McGriff. That one is on the outside corner.
And a lot of that, excuse me, John, a lot of that comes from right-hand hitters trying to pull the ball because he's throwing the ball away from them and using the pitches, using off-speed pitches quite a bit. Right-hand hitters try to pull the ball, they wind up hitting a bunch of grounders.
2-2 now. Chipper Jones back to the bag at first. Chipper Jones had 20 steals during the season. He's thrown out only 5 times. Big hole open on the right side of the infield with Jones the runner there. Bagwell on the bag with him. 2 down. Javi Lopez would be next. 3-2. And the new ball is put into play. They're going to fire, and Rapuano will inspect that last one, which hit the dirt. He's going to toss it out of play. 3-2 to McGriff. McGriff with 22 homers, 97 batted in. In many respects, his worst year in the big leagues, although the last month or so they felt like he was playing more like the McGriff of old. There goes Chipper Jones. McGriff, center field. Hidalgo. Another outstanding play by Hidalgo. And the Braves, on another day, might have been looking at a big inning here in the first, but the Astros made 3 outstanding defensive plays.
Outstanding play. Give credit here to the defensive setup.
No score after 1 from Turner Field in Atlanta. John Miller with Reggie Jackson, and here we go now. Richard Hidalgo, 21-year-old from Venezuela. He takes ball 1 outside from Glavine. Hidalgo signed on his 16th birthday by the Astros. Now here he is in the postseason, the year in which he spent most of the season in the minor leagues. They didn't bring him up until right at the deadline to freeze the postseason rosters, July the 31st. And now here he is, their starting center fielder in the first 2 games of the division series. The numbers not imposing at AAA, but he hit real well in the big leagues after they brought him up, especially against lefties. 1 ball and 2 strikes now.
So there's many times that teams are now signing players 16, 17 years of age, especially from the Latin countries. They get out of school, they come over here, and what they do is they work out with what you may call a summer camp or some kind of spring training, if you will. And from there, they send them back when their school starts.
And down on strikes is Hidalgo. And there is one away. One gone, and the veteran Bill Spires is coming up now. No score in the game.
Off-speed pitch, away, fooled. Richard Hidalgo has not seen this kind of pitching before. He's way out in front.
One gone, and now Spires. Glavine with 2 strikeouts. Spires hit .320 in the regular season, but he is hitless in this series and grounded out to the right side of the infield 4 straight times yesterday against Maddox. The other third baseman, Sean Berry, is still not quite healthy 100% in terms of his throwing, especially. Check swing. Jones was playing shallow at third. Number 2. An accidental ground ball on the check swing by Spires. So 2 down, and Ricky Gutierrez will come up. They like the defense of Spires better. And of course, as we showed earlier, Glavine often seems to be more effective against the right-handers than the lefties. 2 down, here is Gutierrez. Tim Bogar was the shortstop. We put him in on a regular basis before the All-Star break. Larry Durkin said, let's put our strongest defensive team in the field. And Bogar did a great job. Put Chuck E. Carr in center field, who is an excellent center fielder, and Astros put together a nice hot streak there for a while. And Bogar is out of action and hit by a pitch and broke a bone in his right wrist. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Gutierrez is now the everyday shortstop. Pitches for 1, back to the screen. 1-2 the count.
Manager Larry Dierker very concerned about who he puts in the ballgame defensively, because Mike Hampton, as Tom Glavine is a ground ball pitcher, so defense very important.
And we certainly saw that in the first inning. Hampton bailed out by his defense. 3 sensational defensive plays. Again, that outside pitch fouled back into the second deck by Gutierrez. 261 hitter in the regular season. Real windy day here in Atlanta, and a different wind than they normally have seen here at Turner Field. This one blowing in from left field. He goes in high and tight. 2-2 to Gutierrez.
I think so many times when Tom Glavine pitches in as he did there, that is a purpose pitch to get the hitter off the plate so he can work his magic, which is on the outside part of the plate.
Back to the outside. That one hit into left center field. Klesko will have to play it on the bounce. He overruns the ball. Heading for second, Gutierrez lofting his throw. Too late. So a single and perhaps an error it is going to be scored that way. Single and an error to Klesko, putting Gutierrez into scoring position.
It's a pitch that takes a little bit off as it is down. He stays on the ball quite well and gets the bat on the ball. I think Klesko may be expecting Kenny Lofton to take that pitch and winds up not really playing it very well. Recognizing that ball not hit very well, it's not going to take a big bounce, so he needs to just corral it and hold the hitter to a single.
Well, now you got first base open, and the 8th place hitter up, Ausmus, a right-handed batter, 266 for the season. He is a line drive kind of a hitter, not a power hitter. There's ball 1. And Reggie, they're not going to walk him intentionally here, but certainly you would not figure they'd want to risk him driving in a run here with a pitcher up next, although Glavine owns Brad Ausmus, as you can see right there. I know that shocks you that I use such strong language. That's fair. He owns it. Ausmus into right field. Andrew Jones. And just like that, the inning is over. The Astros get a man to second but stranded. No score. Javi Lopez, Andrew Jones, and Ryan Klesko coming up for Atlanta. I'm John Miller with Reggie Jackson, and hey, Yesterday we went with Joe Morgan and the speed game, but today I thought we needed a little more power in the booth, so we went to the man with 548 home runs, Reggie Jackson. Great to have you here now. You were great the first couple of innings, but remember, we need you for all 9, so pace yourself a little bit. All right, now, having said that, Tom Glavine dazzling those 3 big guys at the top of the Astros batting order again, and doing just what you expected.
John, Tom Glavine gives you a map. He gives you a menu. He tells you what he's going to serve you. He's going to stay away from you all day. He's going to change speeds. Once in a while, he may sneak something inside, but he's going to try to keep you off speed and off balance and try to get you to hit a bunch of ground ball rollers.
And Bagwell, he finally went outside so often. And Bagwell got the walk.
In order to hit this guy, you got to be patient and you got to think about hitting the ball the other way.
So those were the pitch sequences from Glavine to Biggio, Bell, and Bagwell. They'll be coming up again in the next inning. Meanwhile, here is Atlanta with Javi Lopez against Mike Hampton. 1 ball to no strikes. There's that sinker, and it's a foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Javi Lopez, in the division series last year against the Dodgers, in the 10th inning of Game 1, he homered in the 10th. In a game they won 2-1. In the league championship series, he was the MVP against the Cardinals. He hit .542 in the league championship series last year. That one is hit high in the air into fairly deep right center, but Bell is there. And that is out number 1. It is 390 feet to the right center field power alley. And Reggie, I just had a thought. I said 548 homers, and I must have been thinking of somebody who didn't have quite the power you did, because you hit 563 home runs.
I just thought maybe you were checking on if I knew how many I had. When you get to 50, you start to forget.
I thought maybe you lost count.
Don't worry, I'll remind you.
563. All right, I got it now. Here's my... Who was I thinking? Mike Schmidt. 548? All right. 1 ball to no strikes to Andrew Jones. I'm with Reginald Martinez Jackson, and I was given the numbers of Michael Jack Schmidt. 2-0 now, the count to Andrew Jones. Now, this guy's got a chance to be a slugger if he can learn to harness all the great talent which he possesses.
Certainly does. Ken Griffey Jr. only hit 18, 19 home runs.
There's a ball that is hit high and deep into left center. The wind knocking it down, and waiting for it is Hidalgo, and that is out number 2.
You know, I think it's pretty obvious since I've been to this ballpark just for a couple of days now that it's certainly a difference between this ballpark and the old Fulton County Stadium, the launching pad, if you will. This ball hit pretty well by Andrew Jones. Fastball out over the middle of the plate. Take a look at it from the side, complete full extension. His weight is back, and he tells you that he hit that ball pretty well just by looking at his posture. But when that ball is hit high in this stadium, there's open air in the outfield, and I believe the wind does knock the ball down a little bit. Proof in the pudding when you take a look at the power numbers of the Atlanta Braves.
Here's Ryan Klesko now. He homered here yesterday to right field. Check swing, and he went around with it. Rapuanu. Calls it a swing. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 down, nobody on in the 2nd inning. Well, the Braves are getting good swings against Hampton. They've hit the ball hard, but have not been able to have the ball fall in yet against them. That's the first ground ball. And a nice play by Bagwell. It took a bad hop off the lip of the grass there. Still no score. Hampton coming up in the 3rd. ESPN's presentation of the 1997 Division Series is brought to you by National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go. John Miller, Reggie Jackson with you from Atlanta. No score in the ball game. Mike Hampton will lead it off here against Tom Glavine, and he takes ball 1. Hampton, as a hitter, 10 hits, 73 at bats, although he had 8 runs batted in. Right field, Andrew Jones, and just like that, 1 away. Now let's go to our colleague Kevin Kennedy.
John, the Braves are very sound defensively, and one of the reasons why is because they're in position all the time. Watch Chipper Jones' feet as Javi Lopez sets up inside, knowing the location. He's in anticipation of the ball being hit to his right. Glavine will be in his windup. The ball will be on the way, and watch Chipper Jones glide to his right, plant himself. Even though he was taken for strike 3, he was in position to make a great play.
All right, Kevin Kennedy, former manager of the Boston Red Sox, and before that, the Texas Rangers, now an ESPN analyst. We're glad to have him in the spotlight for the division series here in the National League. Craig Biggio, the hitter. He grounded out the first, his first time. And a couple of pitches away from Glavine, and works him away again here. And a strike on the outside. It's hard to really overstate the importance of Biggio to this ball club. I mean, he's one of their biggest home run hitters and RBI men, as a leadoff man, no less. But also the man who gets things started. He scored 146 runs. So they need him to get on base.
You know, I'm really impressed with the amount of runs that he scored, because he just has one big RBI guy on the team. He's the second RBI guy with 81. So really not another fellow with 100 RBIs or anywhere even close. So very impressive that he scored that amount of runs.
The most in the National League since 1932. Just off the outside again. So Glavine dancing with that corner. 3-1 now. He's behind Biggio, who is well capable of hitting one out of the ballpark if he makes it too fat here. Biggio, as Reggie mentioned, 22 home runs for the season. Bobby Cox. He is the master of the postseason. He's brought the Braves there every year now, 6 straight seasons. Right in the corner. Well, that pitch is not a whole lot different than the last one.
Well, it shows you that he refuses to give in. He still is going to do his best to make a good pitch. And the fact that the count is 3-1 or 2-0 or 2-2, he is not going to change his approach. He's going to keep the ball away from you. Now you need to be careful him not sneaking one inside on you.
3-2 the count. And he has shown that he will go inside at times today. Going back out away this time. And Biggio gets it high and foul into the upper deck. Still 3-2. I mean, Biggio, for the year, hit 309. He also walked 84 times, and he was hit by pitches 34 times. So one way or the other, he found a way to get on base.
Just keep it short when you describe a player like him and say that he's a great player that plays the entire game.
3-2 the count. And he got the call that time. Ball 4.
It was very, very difficult for me to recognize on that ball 4 pitch whether that ball was a ball or a strike. It looked almost just like the pitches he had thrown before. That ball's down, that ball's a strike. That ball's away. That ball's a... Got to call that a strike. Well, that ball 4 almost looks just the same as the pitch that they call a strike.
Yeah, well, it looked just like 3 or 4 other pitches in the sequence.
Well, many times you have reputations working for you. If Craig Biggio was not at the plate, that would have been strike 3.
Here is Derek Bell. In the right field, Andrew Jones right there. Derek Bell on one pitch is retired. I mean, Biggio didn't have a chance to try and steal a base or do anything there, and Derek Bell is gone just like that on a day when they are preaching patience.
Well, Derek Bell is that type of hitter. He's going to swing the bat at what he sees. You would like to have thought that he would have been a bit more patient, recognizing that early window of opportunity, base runner, base on balls, just one out. You've got to make something happen early against an outstanding pitcher.
Now Bagwell. Biggio has stolen 47 bases this year, or did during the regular year. The infield playing Bagwell at full.
The pressure does mount when the big guy comes to the plate. Jeff Bagwell, they have not been scoring runs. He wants to put the ball in play. There you see he got a real good ball to hit right there, and I remember those kind of swings. I almost fell down on a few.
And the crowd loved it. Bagwell has done well at times against Glavine. Just missing outside.
And John, they both know it. Tom Glavine knows it, as well does Jeff Bagwell.
The Astros, who have felt that it was to their advantage that they were not expected to win, that the pressure was not on them. Now that they're here, they may be finding that it's not quite that way on the big stage, under the glare of the publicity. Jeff Bagwell allowed us how he couldn't believe that he was being asked so many questions about every detail of every one of his at-bats yesterday.
Well, because he's the man. 135 runs batted in, 43 home runs, a 286 batting average. He's the guy now that the pressure falls on, and I'm sure he'll handle it well.
Big pitch here, 2-1 the count. It goes to 3-1. You got the left-handed batter on deck, Gonzalez, put a big fall off. Here's Gonzalez from 43 homers to 10 homers. And Glavine is not afraid of the walk. He just walked Biggio. He's at first with 2 down. And that was a pitch to hit.
Pretty much did give him a ball to hit there. That ball was on the plate, but I refuse to believe that Tom Glavine will give in to Jeff Bagwell. He knows that he hits him well. This pitch does have a lot more of a plate than you would think. It's on the outer half, so it is not a bad pitch by any means.
Full count now. Not 3-1, but 3-2 here. Biggio still being held in the bag by McGriff. He runs. And a strikeout. Over anxious. Swung at the pitch high and out of the strike zone. And that first hit remains elusive for Jeff Bagwell. And Glavine with a 93-mile-an-hour fastball, his hardest pitch of the game. No score. Still no score as we go to the last half of the 3rd inning. John Miller and Reggie Jackson here with you. Game 2 of this series. Big ball game for both clubs. For the Astros for much more obvious reasons. They would fall down 2 games to none with the Hawks. Grappanino, fly ball to the left. You see the wind knocking it down. Coming back in a hurry is Gonzalez to retire Grappanino, and there is one away.
And the wind right now blowing right in, dead in. Ball not hit that well, but ball gets up above the stands, and the wind knocks it right down.
Plus, that sun is just terrible. And I know, Reggie, yesterday you went out, sat out there in the outfield for a while. Maybe, I don't know if you got a feel for it or not, but Gonzalez and Klesko both said it was just a nightmare.
Very tough in left field. I enjoyed watching the ball game from center field. I thought that was the best view. I watched a couple innings in left, a couple innings in center.
Well, I think it was
a couple innings in right.
At your recommendation, we actually put a couple of cameras in center field.
I love
today.
it.
Tom Glavine, the hitter, and he is a very good hitter.
I'd like to do the game from there.
Well, we'll see how you go the rest of the game, and maybe we'll arrange that.
Well, they might just have me out there by myself.
1-1 to Glavine. And he gets the Braves' first base hit since the 2nd inning yesterday. The Braves had gone 8 hitless innings since Klesko led off the 2nd inning yesterday with a home run. Only the 3rd hit of the 2 games in the series.
Tom Glavine, always recognized as a good hitter. Can drive in a run, can put the ball in play. Nice swing, stays on the ball, stays behind the ball. Doesn't collapse, swings right straight through the ball. Winds up with a base hit. Anytime a pitcher hits over 200, considered a good hitter.
So Glavine is aboard, and now leadoff man Kenny Lofton. A strike, and it's 0-1. Lofton lined out to right center. Hidalgo made an excellent running catch on the ball on the warning track. Over at 3rd base, Spires is shallow. Lofton, of course, is a threat to drop down a bunt. Too low. 1 ball and 1 strike to Kenny Lofton. Well, this Atlanta ball club, if they lose today, not only are they a heavy favorite to win and expected to win and go to the World Series, they would have to go to Houston for the final 3 games of this series and would have to win 2 out of 3 in the Astros' home yard, where the Astros have always been very tough.
Atlanta plays pretty well on the rug. However, going over there 1-1, the Astros, that's what they've come here to do. They feel comfortable going back home.
Take good chances if they can get the split here. So still a lot of heat on the Braves today to do well. A lot of heat on Tom Glavine. You pointed this out, Reggie. The Braves were shut down yesterday. Only 2 hits in the ball game. But Maddox made it stand up. and this is not that big explosive offense they used to be. So for the pitcher, Glavine, pitching a low-scoring ball game becomes vitally important.
Absolutely. They do have to pitch well. And now the Braves have it going.
The walk to Glavine. 2 men on with 1 man out. More baseball coming up later on ESPN at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Game 2, the big one, the San Francisco Giants and the Florida Marlins. It will be the 19-game winner, Estes, against the Florida Marlins, and that one Al Leiter. Then at 8 tonight, Game 1 from the Kingdom, and that should be a madhouse on NBC. The Orioles and Mike Messina, the Mariners, and Randy Johnson. 57,000 will be there. And then the whole day will be wrapped up for you. All of the highlights, midnight on Baseball Tonight. Now here is Jeff Blauser, and that is ball 1. And Hampton struggling here. Jeff Blauser, right-handed hitter, and a good one, up in the number 2 spot against a left-handed pitcher. He's over 300 for the year. Rounded out his first time. Actually was robbed of a hit by Bagwell. And he drives one deep into left field. This one is back there. It is gone. A home run for Blauser. A 3-run homer. 3-0 Atlanta. Gets them on their feet here at Turner Field. A 3-run shot. And here is Chipper Jones taking ball 1. Jeff Blauser hit 17 home runs in the regular season. And he hit that one against the wind and just got it into the seats. 1-1 to Chipper Jones.
The good pitchers struggle early. You've got to get them early, and that's what the Braves have done. Now they will go back and rely on their pitching.
To the inside, and it is 1-2. Well, the pitcher gets a hit, the leadoff man gets a walk, and then Blauser launches one. And it goes to 2-2 to Chipper Jones. He walked his first time. A 3-run homer, and for a long time that's been the Braves' formula. The great pitching, and somebody goes deep with a couple of men out.
Really not that far from being right up there with the leaders in home runs. Chipper Jones 21, Griff 23 home runs. Let's go 24. He had 17.
And the walk to Chipper Jones. So he has walked twice.
The pitch coming in from Mike Hampton, right out over the middle of the plate and up. Jeff Blauser, bang, with a home run. Let's take a look and see what he winds up doing here. He's got those hands nice and straight. You see that straight arm there? That gives him the power. Stays right underneath, keeping this elbow in. Lets him follow through. Pretty good golf swing, I'd like to say there. Has the weight back. Turns right through the middle of the body. His weight in the back part of his body here, and bingo. Nice straight front leg. Outstanding.
And that was good for 3. And very disheartening for the Astros, who have not been able to get started in this series. The big guys at the top have been nullified, shut down by first Maddox and now Glavine. And now they've got 3 runs to make up. Brett McGriff. And it's a foul. 0-1 the count to McGriff, who lined out to center. A beautiful sliding catch by Hidalgo, robbing him of a possible base hit in the first inning. Here's Hidalgo. Made a couple of sensational plays in the first inning. Missing inside. And I guess, Reg, the way they were swinging the bat the first couple of innings, it was almost as if Hampton were living in borrowed time. I mean, they were getting pitches to drive. But the defense bailed them out in the first. They were just missing on a couple of long fly balls in the second. But Now Blauser gets it here in the third.
They've hit the ball hard. Lesko hit the ball hard. Lofton hit the ball hard. Griff hit the ball hard.
2-1 the count. Chipper Jones at first. That is a foul. 2-2. And as you mentioned at the very top of the telecast, there is that window of opportunity almost invariably. And the Braves have struck here while Hampton is still struggling really to get into his groove. Maddox yesterday, by his own admission, gave up a shot in the first inning yesterday to Bagwell that maybe on another day would have been a home run. That was just maybe a little over the top of it yesterday. And it stayed in the ballpark. McGriff is down on strikes. 2 down.
Second time up, Bagwell hit a smash to the shortstop, but it was right at him. And then, of course, Maddox, great pitcher he is, settled down, got comfortable, smooth sailing. If you look back, Freddie McGriff has certainly had good swings against Mike Hampton there. The fastball, he had to be looking for something else because there's a fastball pretty much down the middle of the plate.
2 down now, and Javi Lopez. And the Astros bullpen now gets busy. Tough play at third, made nicely by Spires. And that retires Lopez. But the Braves, on Jeff Blauser's 3-run homer, have the big lead now. Gonzalez coming up against Glavine as we move to the 4th. Suddenly, it is 3-0 for the Braves as we go to the top of the 4th inning. The Astros with only 1 hit so far. The second inning single by Ricky Gutierrez. And the 25-year-old lefty, Mike Hampton, suddenly down by 3. Native of Brooksville, Florida. Jeff Blauser took him deep. First ball swinging. Gonzalez on a broken bat. And he is thrown out by Glavine. Just like that, there is 1 gone. We've seen a couple of Astros now the last couple of innings go after that first pitch for an easy out. But for the most part, Reggie, most of the lineup has made him throw a lot of pitches. And coming into this inning, Glavine had thrown 52 pitches in 3 innings.
That would seem to be a lot of pitches for Tom Glavine.
Here is Hidalgo. It's outside for ball 1. Hidalgo struck out his first time. 3-0 for the Braves, and the Astros seem to have a monumental task now. Off the outside, 2-0. And I guess the question is, Reggie, in the pressure of the postseason, and most of them have never been here before, is there going to be a tendency to try to do a little bit too much because you've got time to get back from a 3-run deficit? It's only the 4th inning. You don't have to do it all at once.
The pressure mounts, but the game plan remains the same. You've got to look for the ball away. You've got to hit the ball to right field if you're a right-hand hitter, left field if you're a left-hand hitter, and be patient. Stay on your game plan.
And ball 4 to Hidalgo. Craig Biggio rooting him on from the dugout. Biggio finally reached base for the first time in this series in the 3rd inning with a walk. And Hidalgo, Reggie, looked like maybe he made a little adjustment. The young guy from Venezuela struck out on those outside pitches the last time. This time he took them all and got the walk. 3rd walk allowed by Glavine. Now Bill Spires on a check swing. He grounded out to the 3rd baseman his first time. Looking for his first hit of the series. He has hit 5 ground balls to the infield for the series. 2 high, 1 ball, and no strikes.
Billy Spires did hit .320 during the season, so he is not exactly a pushover with almost 300 at-bats.
Really resurrected his career in Houston. Tom McCraw, the hitting instructor for the Astros, had him make a couple of adjustments. Spires able to do it. And the longer the season went, the harder a time they had keeping him out of the lineup. That's too low. 2-0. Glavine suddenly not able to get the ball in the strike zone, and the Astros are being very patient.
Many times pitchers come back after a team has scored runs, and it's very difficult for them to hold the opposition from scoring. This is a big inning for pitching coach Leo Mazzone.
2-0. Glavine misses again. 3-0.
Mazzoni, I should say.
7 straight pitches out of the strike zone here. Larry Dierker said he thought that was one of the differences between Maddox and Glavine. He said Maddox just doesn't give you anything. He said Glavine will issue some walks and is not afraid of issuing walks. That's a strike, 3-1. Greg Maddox walked only 1 yesterday in his Game 1 victory. 3-1 the count to Spires. Hidalgo at first. McGriff on the bag with it. Strike 2. The throw down to first by Lopez. Dug out by McGriff. Remember 1995 against the Cleveland Indians when Javi Lopez in a key spot picked off Manny Ramirez of the Cleveland Indians with a play similar to that.
Very nice play. Take a look at the feet of Lopez. In position with his feet. Helps him with a quick release.
3-2 the count. Hidalgo. Keep an eye on him here. Down by 3 runs. What do you think, Reggie? Are they going to send it?
You need to do something to get things going. So I certainly look for them to move the runner here.
Glavine checks it. There he goes. And it's ball 4 and away from Lopez. Hidalgo will stop at second, though, as Lopez is quickly upon him. So consecutive walks.
There are many things that go into whether you're going to move a runner. Glavine is not a type of guy that throws the ball. That he's not a strikeout pitcher. You don't have a strikeout hitter. He's going to be around the plate, so you advance the runner. The team is not scoring runs. You want to do your best to try to make something happen. As Leo Mazzoni goes out to talk to Glavine, because he's been a bit wild, unaccustomed to being wild.
Yeah.
So he goes out and takes a look.
Well, Gutierrez is the only man to have gotten a hit for the Astros today, and he is coming up now. Now, the only problem for the Astros, they've got this opportunity here with a couple of walks, but they don't have the men up there they'd like to have up there.
Again, you still must stay on your game plan, as pitching coach or hitting coach Tug McGraw talks about, going the other way, looking for the ball away, and put the ball in play. Do not try to pull the ball. Am I saying Tug McGraw?
Yeah. Tommy McGraw.
Tommy?
Yeah. Although Tug appreciates the mention. And that's ball 1 to Gutierrez. Tug McGraw, the man who, after the Phillies won a World Series, they asked him how he was going to spend his World Series share. And he said about 80% of it he'd use on, booze and women. He said, and the other 20% he'd just waste.
Come on. I think he bought his son a guitar. It worked out well. It's a pretty good investment.
That's for sure. 1 ball and no strikes to Gutierrez. Opportunity here for the Astros. 2 men on and 1 man out. And it goes to 2-0. And again, Glavine seems to have lost that groove, that release point. It's not going where he wants it to go now. And he has thrown 65 pitches for the game, nearly half of them out of the strike zone. So the Astros have that opportunity given to them here by Glavine. 2-0 the count. That is right in there for a strike with a fastball. The base runners, Hidalgo, who walked at second base. Spires, who walked, is at first base.
As a hitter, you stay on your game plan. Don't get cluttered up with all the other thoughts that could be in your mind. He is going to stay away. He's going to give you a ball to hit, and put the ball in play hard. Make something happen.
It is 3-1. Well, right now, just good things happening to the Astros for just waiting.
You couldn't ask for a better situation. He's walked a couple of guys. You have a count, 3 balls and 1 strike. You know you're going to get a ball to hit. Don't try to do too much with it. Put it in play hard.
In fact, Hidalgo, Spires, and Gutierrez, none of the 3 has even swung the bat here. 3-1. The right side of the runner's going. That will move them up. As Graffinino throws out Gutierrez. Hidalgo to third and Spires to second. Again, almost at your suggestion, Reggie, Larry Dierker trying to make something happen here.
Putting the runners in motion, recognizing that Glavine is going to be around the plate. His hitter's going to be able to put the bat on the ball. All these things come into play when a manager is going to make the decision whether he's going to put his runners in motion.
Now Ausmus. First base is open. The pitcher is on deck. But Ausmus is only 1 for 22 lifetime against Glavine. He flied out to shallow right his first time today. He chased one there. Now, that's hard to fathom. with 3 straight hitters here, Glavine having so many problems with his control, and Ausmus swung at the pitch out of the strike zone.
Brad needs to have a smart at bat, needs to recognize who is hitting behind him, as well as the fact that he does not hit Tom Glavine well. So he needs to be very, very patient. This ball is not a strike, and Tom Glavine recognizes he does not have to throw a strike because the pitcher coming up next.
This time Ausmus took it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I'm sure that Brad will not get a pitch on the white of the plate. Everything will be off the plate or a ball.
1 ball, 1 strike. Hidalgo at third, Spires at second. Braves lead 3-0. And it goes to 2-1.
Here's your big difference between the American League and the National League. And watching an American League ball game, the 9th place hitter many times is the guy who can run and has some power.
Meaning the 8th place hitter would have to be pitched to.
Exactly.
2-1 to Ausmus. And he got the call on that one. 2-2.
Very difficult when you're going against a pitcher like Tom Glavine, and he's going to get the outside part of the plate. This ball most certainly does not look like a strike. It makes it very difficult. Even the confirmation it's not a strike because Lopez takes his glove and pulls it back toward the plate.
Tries to go in, but misses high. It's a full count now. And there is the pitcher, Hampton, who would be next. 2 men on. Hidalgo at third, Spires at second. Ready to run at the crack of the bat here with 2 down. No guarantee, of course, that Hampton would hit were Ausmus to reach base here. That one is belted down the left field line. On the run is Presto. Still chasing. Can't get it. And they'll run for a while. Hidalgo has scored, so has Spires, and stopping at second with a stand-up double is Ausmus. They get the big hit. They got that window of opportunity, Reggie, that you mentioned a couple of times, and Ausmus cashes in the runners for them. A big, big at-bat for Ausmus, and the Astros are suddenly showing signs of life.
I think a decision that Tom Glavine makes, turns around and says, I know he's hitting only .045 against me, but I'm going to take a chance and try to get him out, try to gamble, and see if I can get the pitcher to lead off the next inning. The ball right out over the middle of the plate. Brad Ausmus hits the ball a bit on the end of the bat. Kletzko, not an outstanding fielder, does not run very well, gives it the old college try, but just does not get there.
Now Hampton, he takes a strike. He's flying out to right his first time. Now yesterday, Darryl Kyle drove in the Astros' only run against Maddox with a base hit. It had been their only run of this series until just now. Now here is Hampton. As you see Kyle looking on, try to make something happen. He tries to bunt his way aboard, and that's not a bad play if he makes it. Biggio, one of your leading RBI men, gets a shot at it.
Nothing wrong with that. Infielders back. First baseman Fred McGriff way back. Second baseman Graffinino almost on the outfield grass. I don't know why. Certainly Mike Hampton cannot hit the ball past you. Doesn't have that kind of power.
2 strikes now to Hampton. Ausmus at second. He's protecting that outside edge. And the count is 0-2.
Is he protecting the outside edge or just doing the best he can?
Swinging everything, baby. Here's the view from out in the chop house out beyond right center field here. Sit out, have a picnic with your favorite beverage, and enjoy the ball game. Although right now, Braves fans may have a sour taste in their mouths. The Astros, in the next half inning, after the Braves had just jumped ahead 3-0, have come storming back. 2 walks by Glavine. That set it up, and then Ausmus gets the big 2-run double. Yes, he's got a very good eye, Reggie.
He needed binoculars with his eyes to see that one.
Bobby Cox, and suddenly he's looking concerned. 3-2 for the Atlanta Braves. The possible tying run. He's in scoring position. Ausmus, who runs pretty well at second base. Hampton down the right field line. It's a base hit, and he has delivered. It's a tie score as Ausmus brings it home. It is 3-3. And for the second day in a row, an Astros pitcher delivers a run against one of the Braves' aces.
Well, Mike Hampton certainly was listening to Tom McCraw. He's going to stay away. Tom Glavine tells you, I'm going to stay away. I'm going to pitch out there. I'm better than you, and I'm going to prove it. As Mike Hampton hits the line drive down the first base line, we've got ourselves a tie ball game.
And it is interesting that Hampton gets the hit. I mean, he didn't hit particularly well during the year, but in the regular season, he had more RBIs than any pitcher on either one of these ball clubs. He had 8 runs batted in during the regular season. Now Biggio is up and away. And I guess, in retrospect, Hampton himself is very fortunate that when he tried to bunt his way aboard, that he bunted it foul. He was willing to put it all on the shoulders of Biggio here, but he failed in his bunt attempt, and now Biggio is up, but the score is already tied. That's right.
Greg Biggio, a big-time player. 47 stolen bases, 81 RBIs, 22 home runs.
Bullpen activity now for Atlanta as Glavine struggles here in the 4th inning. Gets slowly to short. Blauser's going to have to hurry. Here's the throw. Just in time. Nice play by Blauser. And the inning has finally ended. But the Houston Astros, in a 29-pinch inning for Glavine, have scored 3 runs to tie it. No sooner had the Braves gone ahead with 3 than the Astros get 3 of their own. Andrew Jones coming up. And there's the look at Turner Field from high above Atlanta. And these aerial shots are being provided by the Pennzoil Copter Cam. And we're glad to have them with us. Anytime they want to be here, just give us a call. A Pennzoil Copter Cam. And there's a look down at the diamond here in Atlanta, and the big crowd is rather concerned. This is not supposed to be in the script. The Braves don't get 3 on a big fly and then all of a sudden give up 3 just like that, but that's what happened. Now Hampton trying to regroup as he faces Andrew Jones, missing ball 1.
And all the runs have come from people that you would not expect it to come from. Blauser, Hampton.
Shot down the left field line, but fouled by Andrew Jones, and he broke his bat in that one. Jones hit one pretty well his first time out into a fairly deep left center. That was caught, so he is 0 for 1. Now coming up tonight at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, the NHL will return to ESPN. So you might want to make a note of that. All of you hockey fans out there, the Flyers and the Florida Panthers. Flyers are led by superstar Eric Lindros, and they were the Eastern Conference champions last year. That's the Panthers and the Flyers tonight at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ESPN. Now, you played a little street hockey growing up, didn't you?
Field hockey with my sister.
That's why you turned to baseball. She was 10 times the field hockey player you were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My sister Dolores.
2-1 the count to Andrew Jones, and 3-1. Hampton has never really settled in this ballgame. He has not been the sharp pitcher in command that the Astros were used to seeing the second half of this season. 3-1. He's in the left field, off the end of the bat though, and right to Gonzalez. 1 away.
With the hitters, you cannot stay behind in the count. And Mike has been behind in the count many times, so I'm sure that Larry Dierker, the manager, is going to stay on top of him. And if he does not get ahead or find his groove, that manager Larry Dierker, as well as Vern Rule, pitching coach, will make their change, get someone heated up.
Here's Klesko. Always takes a big cut. That's a foul. Klesko grounded out to Bagwell his first time. 3-3. And Klesko, who sometimes just sits out against the tough lefties, has never been able to figure out Mike Hampton. Of course, then again, we saw that Brad Ausmus had never figured out Tom Glavine. So today, hit sharply right at Biggio. But his time, 2 men gone.
Even though Klesko has not performed well against Mike Hampton, you always have to respect his power.
Downtown Atlanta. And there's the pit that was once the launching pad. They demolished the old ballpark in just one day.
What are they going to do there?
Missile silo. I think they're just going to use it as an expanded parking area for the folks coming here. Tony Graffinino. 2 down, nobody on. Graffinino flying out to left his first time. 3-3 ball game. The pitcher, Glavine, on deck. The Braves have 2 hits. They get all of their runs at once on a 3-run homer by Blauser in the third. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Astros. 2 Glavine walks set up the Astros rally.
Hampton still struggling. 3-0 to the 8th place hitter.
It's Glavine, who actually started the Braves 3-run rally with a single. It's a call strike. Yeah, you make a point that certainly is pertinent. For the Braves, when you think of big innings, you think Chipper Jones, McGriff, Lopez, Klesko. They weren't involved in that 3-run. It was Glavine with a single, Lofton with a walk, and then Blauser with a 3-run shot. The Astros, you always think of Biggio and Bagwell being involved in the offense. But it was Hidalgo, Spires, Osmus, and Hampton who delivered the 3. Well, there's a walk to Graffinino, and at the very worst, that will allow Kenny Lofton to lead off the next inning for them instead of the pitcher Glavine.
Not quite as important to throw a strike on that pitch with the pitcher coming up next. Tony Graffinino has 8 home runs, so you do need to respect his power.
Yeah, Graffinino in only 186 at-bats had 8 home runs, so he's got some pop. Mark Lemke, the regular second baseman, still out of action with an injury. He's hoping to be back healthy enough to play by World Series time. Of course, the Braves are hoping that World Series time includes them. 1 ball and no strikes to Glavine. That's a strike. Tom Glavine, growing up in the Boston area, and his favorite player, and was a huge Red Sox fan, was Fred Lynn. And as a kid, he was a very good hitter, played center field. But unlike Lynn, he was a singles hitter even then. Bagwell, Hampton, and Glavine is an easy out. We're heading to the 5th inning, and the big guys are coming up for Houston. It'll be Derek Bell, then Jeff Bagwell, and Luis Gonzalez. It is tied at 3. Game 2 of the Astros and Braves in the National League Division Series, 3-3 in the top of the 5th inning. And they call them the Killer Bees in Houston. Biggio, Bell, there's Derek Bell to lead it off here, and Jeff Bagwell, well, they have gone collectively 0 for 17 in this series. They have picked up a couple of walks so far today. Bagwell, who was on deck with 1, and Biggio with 1. Meanwhile, the Astros pitchers in this series are 3 for 4 with 2 batted in. Go figure. Darryl Cal yesterday, today Mike Hampton. And here's Derek Bell, true to form, chasing that first one, bouncing it foul. It is 0-1. When I was getting on the case of Brad Osmus, remember he chased that first pitch out of the strike zone, and then he comes back and gets the big 2-run double.
Nothing wrong with going after the first pitch, but you've got to be thinking about hitting the ball the other way. You just have to, because Tom Glavine has made his living, and a pretty good one at that, I'll say, by staying away from hitters.
1 ball and 1 strike. Former hockey player from Massachusetts. Such a good hockey player that in high school, his teammates, and he was a centerman, they called him Gretzky. And I said, did you try to set up your team and get a lot of assists? He said, no. They got me the puck, and I put it in the net. Big swing, and did he swing? An appeal made. The first base umpire, Charlie Rutherford, and denied. 3-1 the count.
Tom Glavine does not throw a lot of breaking balls, but he throws many different fastballs. I've noticed them from 79 miles an hour all the way up to 93. Check swing. The check swing is called a strike when the barrel of the bat goes past home plate.
Back to Glavine. 1 away. Derek Bell retired. He is 0 for 3 and 0 for 7 in this series. And now Bagwell comes up with a chance to put Houston ahead. Now, Reggie, when you're the man and your team looks to you, and especially on Houston, because Bagwell is it. It's not like he's got, you know, David Justice and Matt Williams hitting behind him. Does the pressure start to mount? I mean, is there a real dilemma of maybe starting to press a little bit if you're Jeff Bagwell?
You know, I don't think there's a dilemma, but I certainly do think the pressure mounts. I think it's pretty obvious in the same breath, though, in the same paragraph, to recognize that he's certainly capable of handling it. He has not had a big thumper hitting behind him all year. 43 home runs, 135 RBIs without a lot of protection. This guy will produce because he's proven that he can handle the heat.
Huge year, and it was so huge it was above his average season, which has been also huge. He, like Glavine, a native New Englander, grew up a Red Sox fan. Unlike Glavine, started his career in the Red Sox organization. He was a third baseman when the Astros traded for him.
They traded Danny Darwin for him.
Larry Anderson. Larry Anderson acquired by the Red Sox. Right stretch run.
Right-handed reliever.
Yeah. 1-2 to Bagwell. When Bagwell got to Houston his first spring training, they put him into a contest at third with the veteran Ken Caminetti. 2-2.
Jeff Bagwell's really built well. Strong. He's about 5'11", but he's thick, heavily muscled. You can see where the power comes from.
Reminds me a little bit of Caminetti. 2-2 the count. And he struck him out. He took something off, just as did Maddox yesterday. He struck him out twice with changeups. 2 down.
You can say it over and over again. The art of pitching, changing speeds. The ball is straight, looks like a fastball, but he takes something off it. That ball in the low 80s or high 70s, the same pitches, that's what it looks like that he's throwing a hitter, but he's changing speeds. I haven't seen a guy with this many different kinds of fastballs, John.
Here's Gonzalez, a check swing and a foul. He is grounded to short and grounded to second. 2 down, nobody on.
Really not a fastball. You call it a straight ball in order to understand it better, because it touches 93 and goes all the way down into the 70s.
And there's Stone Mountain, famous landmark here in Georgia. There's a bloop into left field, and that is a base hit for Gonzalez. Taking it the other way. That's the quintessential approach being preached by hitting coach Tommy McCraw today.
Blooper or a real nice piece of professional hitting. Staying on the ball, trying to think about hitting the ball the other way, the top of the body, staying over the plate. If he tries to pull that ball, it winds up being a roller either back to Glavine or a roller to the second baseman. Nice piece of professional hitting.
All right, now you're trying to make something happen here with 2 down. You got Hidalgo at the plate, who hit lefties real well this year in the month that he was in the big leagues. Gonzalez, not a big base stealer, had 10 steals. Ball 1.
With a fellow like Tom Glavine, you need to be very careful not to do it on the first pitch, because he's going to stay off the plate and see if you'll offer. If you don't offer it something off the plate 8 or 12 inches, he'll come back and make it 4 to 6. You don't offer it that, he comes back and makes it 2 to 3.
1 ball, no strikes. Well, he came in closer that time, and Hidalgo chased it, fouling it into the crowd off to the right.
Great execution of the art of pitching. Trying to tempt the hitter, trying to keep them off balance, changing speeds, trying to tempt you, show you something near your eyes that looks good, but it really isn't.
Glavine has sort of finessed his way to a very high pitch total. 96 pitches thrown already. We're only in the 5th. That becomes sort of a subplot as number 97 misses too low, because how long is this left-handed ace going to be able to continue in this game? They don't like their starting pitches to go much beyond 100 to 110 pitches.
You may see some action now with the movement of the runner. 2 balls and 1 strike. Glavine will be near the plate.
And Glavine, sure enough, makes a throw to first base.
And he recognizes that. Most of the time, that kind of move towards first base comes from the pitching coach or from the manager.
2-1 the count. Bobby Cox and the pitching coach on the left is Leo Mazzoni. Always in motion, always kind of rocking back and forth in there. Hidalgo not running. Check swing roller to second. Raffanino One hit, one left. Halfway through it. The top of the order coming for Atlanta. Lofton, Blauser, and Chipper Jones. It is 3-3. Astros 3, Braves 3. Last of the 5th inning. On a spectacular autumn afternoon, the first day of October in Atlanta. Here is Kenny Lofton now to try and ignite the Braves. That's his job. And he takes a strike on the inside from Hampton.
Was that unusual?
Only the 7th time to the 19 batters that Hampton has faced whom he has started with a strike. That's a ball, one strike. I mean, he's been living dangerously for most of this afternoon.
He certainly has been living on the edge. You get behind the hitter, and it's certainly advantage to the hitter.
3-3 the score. Lofton, foul. Now, Lofton lined out to deep right center his first time. Hidalgo made an outstanding play on the ball on the warning track. But in the 3rd, he drew a walk, and the next man, Blauser, hit the 3-run homer for the Braves runs. 3-3 in the 5th. Blauser on deck. Real tough pitch there for strike 3. One down now. Let's go to Kevin Kennedy with the spotlight on Kenny Lofton.
Well, there's been a question of Kenny Lofton's health. It looks like he's had some trouble running the bases, and here's why. Watch Lofton's head as he goes down the line. He should be looking at the bag as he hits first base, but he's looking up, hitting the bag with his heel rather than the ball of his foot, causing a loss of balance for a slower turn and possible injury.
And Jeff Blauser takes a strike. Well, that's a good point. And Lofton has come under really or has received some criticism here in Atlanta for sometimes his lack of fundamentally sound play, either with base running or in the field. And it looked like they were going to try and re-sign him for the long term when they first traded for him, that big trade with Cleveland, but they're not seemingly thinking that way now. On a 2-strike pitch, Blauser in the shallow left. Remember, the sun is terrible and the wind is gust, but Gonzalez makes the play, and perhaps, Reggie, a deceptively easy-looking play there under the conditions here.
Well said, John. Wind blows that ball in and almost brought it back to the shortstop. Certainly not an easy play.
You see Gonzalez there trying to shade the eyes.
Tough in the sun, the wind blowing the ball in. He's got to go a lot further, yelling out, "I got it." The outfielder is in charge as he's coming in because it's an easier play for him. The wind seemed to make it a bit more difficult.
He never actually flipped the sunglasses down as he battled that sun out there.
You try to stay away from that unless you absolutely have to. If you stay with it long enough, keep your eye on it, sometimes you don't need it.
Chipper Jones, the hitter. Now, this is something that has to be confounding pitching coach Vern Rolle and manager Larry Dierker. Chipper Jones has 1 home run the whole year against a lefty, and Hampton has walked him twice, and now he's 2-0 this time. 3-0. I mean, he's pitching him as if he's saying, this is the one right-handed hitter in their order I cannot let beat me today. And yet Chipper Jones' history as a right-handed hitter is not that strong. That's a strike. 3-1. Larry Dierker going with this young lefty who, unlike Tom Glavine, is experiencing the harsh glare of the postseason for the first time. He has walked Chipper Jones 3 consecutive times.
And really, Mike Hampton has not really caught his groove yet. He has struggled with his control. And you take a look at the numbers on Chipper Jones. Not very productive, with almost no power from the right side part of the plate.
And yet, today, he has walked 3 straight times against Hampton. Now McGriff. There goes Chipper. Osmus. 2. He bounced the throw. It was close, but Chipper Jones, who had 20 steals in the regular season, gets one here.
Didn't look, John, to me as though he got a handle on this ball quick enough. There you see a good jump from Chipper Jones, but it looked like he didn't have a complete handle on the ball. The throw is down to the other side of the bag, and if he would have made a little better throw, he'd have gotten Chipper Jones. And Osmus is a fine thrower, fine defensive receiver.
I mean, he almost got him there, although I think you could see that the foot just did touch the bag before the The tag was a fly. Now McGriff could get a run batted in with a single.
The age of technology. They didn't have those kind of shots when I was a player.
Now,
we had more arguments.
That's ESPN baseball coverage for you, Reg. 1 ball and no strikes to McGriff. He is lined out to shallow center. Hidalgo robbed him of a hit. He's been called out on strikes. And McGriff's still a key man in this ball club. I mean, they still got him hitting in the 4th spot. He's not putting up the big numbers that he had been, but they need production from him.
Well, he's comfortable in the 4th spot. Being a cleanup hitter also takes the right kind of psyche, the right kind of mentality. Griff's done it for a long time, so he stays there. Way ahead of the count here.
This has been his spot over the years. Well, Hampton, after walking Chipper Jones, now is 3-0 to McGriff. And you got a right-handed hitter, maybe the Braves' best right-handed power hitter on deck, Javi Lopez. So he's picked a real peculiar time to lose his feel for the strike
I
zone.
think the big concern here goes over to Larry Dierker as well as Vern Rule. Mike Hampton has not found his groove yet.
It's another walk. And now Lopez will have a shot at it.
Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a little visit from someone.
Here comes Vern Rule immediately up out of the dugout. There is no action going on in the Astros bullpen as we understand it. We cannot see into the bullpen from here as Vern Rule goes out to visit with his young lefty, Mike Hampton. And again, Reggie, I mean, there's the physical execution of being a pitcher, of executing your pitches. You see the bullpen is quiet. But there's also situational pitching. He's just walked 2 guys who aren't nearly the threat as Javi Lopez is now, and now he's got to face Lopez in a tight spot as a result of the 2 walks.
There's a lot of things that come into play. They want to take and pull Mike Hampton through this difficult time. They want to coach him. They want to do their best to manage him, to get him over the top, to be that pressure pitcher that they'd like him to be. So a lot of different things going into the equation here, John.
All right, because I'm sure in Houston, as Lopez takes ball 1, Astros fans may be asking, hey, how come there's not a right-hander warming up out there? Chipper Jones at second, Fred McGriff at first, and a real big moment of this ball game for Mike Hampton. 3-3 tie. And the ball just is not going where he wants it. Changeup missing badly. And now Mike McDonte, the left-hander, gets up. Another right-handed hitter, Andrew Jones, on deck. And the crowd now gets into it here in Atlanta. And largely a quiet crowd. Another big pitch coming up here. 3-0.
Well, as a hitter now, you want to make sure that you get a ball to hit. I'm not so sure whether he'll have the green light or not. With 23 home runs, he may. But you've got to be a professional hitter. Get yourself a good ball to hit and not swinging a bad ball.
And it's another walk. I mean, it's hard to remember the last time that Hampton was in the strike zone. And Dierker in conversation there as he's in a quandary as to what's happened with Hampton here. 3 men on, all courtesy of Hampton.
And I don't think McNanty is down there ready enough. He's not warmed up enough, has not had enough time to get ready.
Meanwhile, as Andrew Jones stepped in the batter's box, Bobby Dews, the third base coach, came halfway down the line hollering at him and said, hey, look at me, and then flashed a few signals here.
Make sure he throws you a strike. He's been wild. Don't help him out now.
The crowd on its feet. And a strike on the outside. Tom Glavine, who has struggled with his control today at times. And you'd like to see the Braves take the heat off of him here with a big inning. In the dirt. 1-1.
And nice play by Brad Osmus, keeping that ball in front of him, making a nice clean grab on that ball that touched the dirt first.
Andrew Jones has hit the ball hard twice today. Once deep into left center and once a liner to left field. 0-2. Now he's behind again.
This is a huge pitch for him now. He knows he's going to get a ball to hit as a hitter. Andrew Jones, 2 balls and 1 strike, bases loaded. really can't make a pitch here. He's just got to throw a strike. So this is a great time to be a hitter now.
And that is the 15th pitch of the last 17 that has been out of the strike zone. The left-handed batting Klesko is on deck. Well, he's absolutely gone as far as he can go. And Dierker may well be having a hard time understanding what's happened to him.
I would say this is going to be his last hitter if he walks him.
And he has walked him. 4 consecutive 2-out walks, incredibly. And the Braves are back ahead 4-3 as Chipper Jones comes in to score. And now Dierker, in fact, will make the move.
This certainly looked like Mike Hampton was rushing himself. Did not look comfortable on the mound. Never really got in sync. You see him struggling, saying, "Come on, Mike." Can't read lips on the other stuff. You tell me what he said.
Come on, Mike. Gosh darn it. So Mike Magnante is going to be coming in, and we've got the double switch going here. Dierker's stopping to talk with the plate umpire, Ed Rapuano. And Magnante, meanwhile, is still loosening up in the bullpen. Chuck E. Carr has gone in to play center field as part of the double switch. 4-3 Atlanta. We'll be right back. He's now leading 4-3 with an incredible turn of events. 4 consecutive 2-out walks as Mike Magnante, the 32-year-old veteran left-hander, comes on, and he was really a specialist in getting the left-handers out, but now he is not going to be facing a lefty. Magnante is going to be facing a pinch hitter, as Chuck Carr also in the ballgame, a double switch here. So Magnante into Hidalgo's number 5 spot in the order, and Carr will hit number 9. And Greg Colbran is the pinch hitter for Klesko. And Colbran was 8 for 16 as a pinch hitter this year after being acquired from Minnesota.
And he's 2 for 3 lifetime against Greg Colbran is 2 for 3 lifetime.
McGriff at third, Lopez at second, Andrew Jones at first. And here's Colbran standing in. Chance for the Braves to break it open here in the 5th. Strike. Lopez and Andrew Jones, all of whom walk. Andrew Jones getting the RBI and the bases loaded walk. Base hit. McGriff scores. Lopez scores. And the third is Andrew Jones. The first hit of the inning. And it is a 3-run inning. 6-3 Atlanta. And Colbran, who was acquired for this very reason, as a right-handed presence off the bench, and I don't know that they expected him to hit over 500 as a pinch hitter, but that's exactly what he has done.
Ball right out over the middle of the plate. Colbran does what the Astros should have been trying to do, hitting the ball the other way, staying on the ball. The Braves just have 3 base hits today. They have 8 base on balls, and they've turned it into 4 runs. 6, I should say.
Now here is Graffinino. And that's ball 1 on the inside. Greg Colbran, of course, 2 years ago, was the regular first baseman for the Florida Marlins and had 21 homers and 89 RBIs for them playing every day. But the damage has been done. The Braves take full advantage of 4 consecutive walks. 3 runs have scored. Atlanta 6, Houston 3. Turner Field in Atlanta hosting its first postseason play. The Braves a winner yesterday, leading now 6-3 today. Daniel Bautista now has gone in to play left field after Colbran pinch hit for the starting left fielder Klesko. And Tom Glavine now with a 3-run lead again with which to work. The team went ahead on a base-loaded walk. to you see Glavine reacting. The base loader walk actually was to Andrew Jones, not to Fred McGriff. But either way, Glavine is always a very laconic-looking presence in the dugout, as his game face, I guess, as it were, never seems to change.
He stays focused, stays on his job that he has to do. Very difficult to come back now after sitting on the bench now for about 30 minutes.
Very long inning.
And get back in his groove. The last time that Houston scored, he went out and gave up 3 runs. So again, here's a big inning for Tom Glavine.
Glavine was staked to a 3-0 lead in the third, and then he lost his feel for the strike zone, and it cost him dearly. Fouled away by Bill Spires. 0-2 the count. Hidalgo and Spires each walked with 1 out in the 4th inning, and eventually they were both brought in. A 2-run double by Brad Ausmus. But now, I mean, an incredible turn of events. 2 down and nobody on, and Hampton walked 4 consecutive hitters. And fouled out of play. And then Colburn, the pinch hitting specialist. I mean, Bobby Cox could not have asked for a better situation in which to bring in Colburn. And Colburn delivered big time with that single to right. And I like the way you pointed out, Reg. His approach was just the approach that the Astros have needed to take all day long against Glavine. Took it the other way. 0-2 the count. He curves it and missed outside. 1-2 to Spires. Gutierrez and Ausmus will follow.
Billy Spires doing the job, or at least coming up with the right approach, trying to put the ball in play. You don't see him over swinging or pulling off the ball, fouling the ball off continually.
That misses. By the way, Hampton, in his 4 2/3 innings, finished the game with 8 walks allowed, the most he has ever allowed in a game in his career. And the Braves, talking about taking advantage. One of his walks was to Lofton in the 3rd inning. The next man hit a 3-run homer. Lousy. That's Lofton. And there's one away.
Pretty obvious that the wind is blowing in. The ball gets up above the stadium, and the wind knocks it right down as you see your outfielders charging hard when they're catching the high fly ball. Go back to Mike Hampton. I think that was a pretty obvious example of him never finding his groove and really being uncomfortable, possibly being affected by his first time in postseason.
Well, and I think as you see the flags being blown about by the stiff breeze that has been blowing all the way through today, then you wonder in terms of Larry Dierker staying with him as long as he did, since he never really did find himself. And then all of a sudden started walking everybody. Gutierrez is very quickly retired. He's 1 for 3. 2 down here in the 6th inning. And now Brad Ausmus will come up from the new Turner Field in Atlanta. Beautiful new ballpark. And the Braves, who have had so much postseason history in the old ballpark, playing here for the first time in October.
Now we look for, will Tom Glavine settle down, hit his groove, and now have smooth sailing?
Well, he's certainly given a good indication that that's what he intends to do. 2 straight outs. Here's Ausmus. And he gets another base hit. And the guy had never had a hit against Glavine except 1 time in 22 previous at-bats. Now he's had a 2-run double and a single in 2 consecutive at-bats. So much for the numbers. Now Chuck E. Carr, released by the Milwaukee Brewers, picked up by the Astros. Carr hit 276 for them, although most of the time he was used as a left-handed hitter. He's a switch hitter. He had 219 right-handed. That misses. 1 ball and no strikes. Tom Glavine well over 100 pitches for the game. Carr hitting in the 9th spot of the order. The Astros have had 4 hits in 5 at-bats from their 9th place in this series. I mean, in the same series where Biggio, Bell, and Bagwell have been kept hitless, 0 for 18 for those 3. The pitchers are 3 for 4, and a pinch hitter in the 9th spot yesterday. Abreu got a base hit.
Astros, even though they're behind, need to stay with the same game plan they had. Do their best to try to keep looking to hit the ball the other direction. Because the only time Glavine is going to come inside on you is just with the element of surprise.
Derek Bell, 0 for 7 in this series. Biggio, 0 for 2 today. Bagwell, 0 for 2 today. It goes to 3-1. Biggio would be next. Jeff Bagwell, you'd have to get quite a rally going for him to bat in this inning. The 3 of them for the series. A collective 0 for 19. And that's ball 4 to Chuck Carr. Well, a lot of patience displayed by Chuck Carr, who was a guy who over the years had seemingly a disdain for the base on balls. That is the 5th walk-a-lot by Glavine. So he's had a real hard time keeping his groove in this ball game too.
Or I guess I should say finding his groove would be a better way of saying it, John. Again, an opportunity for the Houston Astros, so they are not out of this thing by any means. The Braves continuing to give the Astros a chance as we take a look at Leo Mazzoni coming out to talk to Tom Glavine.
And there's some activity that has started in the Atlanta bullpen at the same time. Chipper Jones and Javi Lopez meet there in the mound. Mike Cather, the right-hander, the rookie, loosening up in the Atlanta bullpen. Now you've got Biggio up here with 2 men on. And he, although he's the leadoff man, is the Astros' 2nd leading home run hitter and 2nd leading RBI man. 22 homers, 81 batted in during the season. And for good measure, Biggio also had 37 doubles and 8 triples.
To go with 47 stolen bases. The bullpen of the Atlanta Braves has 3 rookies in it. So I'm sure that they want Glavine, Maddox, and Smoltz, Nagel to go as far as they possibly can.
Biggio, he got a pitch to hit there, but fouled it back. It is 0-1. So Lopez set up on the outside. And Glavine maybe caught a little more of the plate than he wanted to. Let's have a look, Reggie. They got right out over the plate, but up.
That was a ball to hit.
Goes back to something Bagwell told you in the interview before the ball game. You start looking away for everything, and then they get a ball in that's hittable, and you're so much into leaning out for that pitch away that you're not really balanced and ready to hit that pitch when it comes right in there.
Can become a bit surprised. Again, you must stay on your game plan of trying to hit the ball the other way. Javier will show you that. Javier Lopez. Outside, outside, outside. The way you hit the ball inside is you just do it on sheer skill or reaction, just natural ability. You do not look for the ball inside. You will look for the ball from Tom Glavine, middle of the way, middle away.
Well, now it is 2-1 to Biggio. And Glavine has thrown 115 pitches. In the bullpen, Cather, as seen from the Pennzoil copter can high above Turner Field. Osmus at second, Carr at first. 2 down. It goes to 3-1. Derek Bell is on deck. And Glavine receives the throwback with a rather angry-looking snap of the glove. Angry at himself. He's not sharp.
It's certainly a pitcher of decision. Again, an opportunity for the Astros to take advantage of. You've got the right man at the plate, so the Astros certainly are playing their hand properly here and in position.
Osmus and Carr ready to run. 2 down. High in the air. Along the right field side. Andrew Jones battling the sun out there. Into the corner. Makes the catch against the railing. The sign is retired. So Biggio now 0 for 7 in the series. Fouling out to the right fielder on a 3-1 pitch. 2 men left. The Astros have stranded 7 in the game. 6-3 Atlanta. Quite a play by Andrew Jones. Braves leading 6-3, and Andrew Jones with quite a play. He was partially obstructed from our view up here in the booth. But when we saw the television replay, we realized just what an outstanding play it was. McNulty delivers to Tom Glavine, who's still in there. He's thrown 117 pitches, but he is going to hit and most likely come back for the 7th inning, leading 6-3. Glavine has singled and scored a run. He has grounded out to first. Kenny Lofton is on deck, and that's back out of play. McNulty in relief of Hampton. The Braves have only 5 hits in this series. They had 2 yesterday and won 2-1. They have 3 hits today and lead 6-3. Off of home plate. Biggio. No play. And he wouldn't have had a play even had he fielded it cleanly.
No, he would not have.
Well, Reggie, we're talking about Andrew Jones and a great play to end the Astros threat in the 6th inning.
I think this is a huge play. Andrew Jones stays with the ball, checks where the fence is, goes over, and the wind brings that ball back to him, so he's able to make the catch. But that's a huge play. Craig Biggio with the plate, a couple of men on base, just a 3-run lead. Glavine had struggled a bit during the inning, but he gets out of that inning with a fine defensive play from Andrew Jones.
And a rare display of emotion there, although a subdued display of emotion by Glavine, and of course the frustration of Craig Biggio. Yeah. Maybe in another day that ball would have just dropped into the seats and he'd have a shot on a 3-2 pitch. And that's not the way it's gone for Biggio or Bagwell or Bell or the Astros' big sluggers in this series so far.
So those players, the killer bees, know no matter who they are, that the weight falls on them. They haven't performed, and they get frustrated. As you say, take a look at their faces, and you can see it.
And Manny is the big hitter, as you saw. Lofton bunting one foul. It is 0-2 to Lofton with Glavine at first base after the infield hit. Bagwell on the bag with it. Bagwell will be coming up second the next inning. Bell will be leading off in the next inning. 6-3 for Atlanta. Manny's the great player has been stymied by this Atlanta pitching staff. I mean, Barry Bonds. Remember those 3 playoff series back in the early 90s when the Braves first made the postseason. When they first got good. And then it was Glavine, Avery, Smoltz, guys like that. Lebrand. And Barry Bonds was shut down. As great a player as is Bonds. That's a ball way inside. That whole Cleveland slugging lineup in 1995, one of the best hitting teams in years. And they were shut down.
It goes to show you, John, how important pitching is to the game of baseball. Obviously, I was an offensive player, and that's how I approach the game of baseball. But I also recognize all the great players, great teams I played on. The reason that I was in postseason so much is because I was always on great pitchers. Great pitching gives the opportunity for an offensive player to be successful one time a game and be a hero.
Yeah, if you hit a home run and you're down 8-2, doesn't sound so big.
Exactly.
But if it's 2-2, it's big. 2-2 to Lofton. Glavine at first, nobody out. Blauser on deck. Just on the outside corner. Strike 3.
In talking before the game to Stan Kasten, as well as I'll come back to that. Look at the pitch. This is a great pitch by McNulty on the outside part of the plate. And this certainly is a strike. Looks away. He hits the glove. Ooh. Our camera gives a deceptive look there.
Well, remember, that camera is up on the roof of the ballpark behind the plate, maybe a couple of 100 feet away from home plate. Here is Blauser. That's a strike. And maybe Osmus kind of helped the way he framed that pitch. He made it look like a strike.
When you talk about framing the ball, you're not moving the glove around. You're not darting the glove out of the strike zone. You're catching the ball and holding it where the glove is. The pitcher hits the glove. You hold the glove there. It's called framing it within the picture of the umpire.
And the tough curveball for a swinging strike. Yeah, catch it and bring it back. And Osmus just caught it out there and held it there.
When you catch it, bring it back, it gives confirmation it wasn't a strike.
0-2 the count. Blauser with a big 3-run homer in the 3rd inning. The Braves are leading 6-3. 1 out, and Glavine at first base in the 6th.
Again, Bobby Cox Cox showing us the confidence he has in the pitching of Tom Glavine. Glavine has not been exceptionally dominant today.
That's foul, and the bat flying out of the hand of Blauser.
But Bobby Cox wants him in the ballgame because of his comfort level and the way that he's showing the rest of the ball club, the expression he has on his face, the way he handles himself, lets the rest of the players be a bit more confident.
And I'm wondering also, Reg, I mean, the question for Atlanta, the question mark, has been the bullpen, particularly the middle relief. Bobby Cox, conversely, not showing a whole lot of faith in their abilities as he stays long with Glavine, who's already thrown 117 pitches. The change-up for the strikeout, and Blauser is gone.
I think you have a chance, John, to see some of the younger players, especially if they win the ball game today, where Bobby Cox will give them an opportunity to get their feet wet in the playoffs if they leave here 2-0 today.
Braves are having to do without the veteran Mike Bilecki, who did so well for them last year and was their key setup man this year. And he's had the rotator cuff problems and is out for the year. Chipper Jones. Amazingly, Chipper Jones, we've repeated this numerous times, who has not had any kind of thunder at all as a right-handed hitter, and yet Hampton walked him 3 straight times. That's one of the advantages that Hampton was supposed to have against the Braves. Chipper Jones, not a big RBI man, batting right-handed, but he singles to right field here. Glavine will stop at second.
Again, going the other way, being a professional hitter. Taking what they give you. Fastball on the outside part of the plate. Chipper Jones hits a ground ball there. Looking away, going away, getting the job done.
Chipper Jones, when he's batting left-handed, is an entirely different kind of a hitter. I mean, he looks to pull the ball and to hit it with power, but not right-handed. Well, here's a guy who looks to hit it with power, Fred McGriff. Base hit, left center field. That will get Glavine home. Chipper Jones to third. McGriff has delivered his first hit of the series. 7-3 Atlanta.
And that particular bit of strategy really did not work out well for Larry Dierker. One of the reasons that he did the double switch with Chucky Carr and center fielder Richard Hidalgo is in order to get him to keep Chipper Jones on the left-hand side of the plate, on the right-hand side of the plate, also to get Fred McGriff to hit left-handed. It did not work. Fastball up to McGriff, out over the plate, bang. Does the job he's supposed to do. Line drive left center.
And that was one of only 5 hits McDonty has allowed to lefties all year, 2 in this inning. It is now the Braves 7 and the Astros 3, and Ramon Garcia, used as the 5th starter and at times out of the bullpen, comes on now for the Astros to face Javi Lopez with Chipper Jones at third and Fred McGriff at first. You see his numbers, not bad. A lot of home runs allowed, though, especially considering his home ballpark is the Astrodome. And Lopez is a guy who can hit a home run. Fouled straight back. 2 men on, including Chipper Jones, who singled to right at third base, and Fred McGriff, who got the RBI single to left at first base. Tom Glavine, by the way, started this rally with an infield single. He also started a 3-run third inning rally with a single. He is 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored today. 1 ball and 1 strike. 7-3 for Atlanta. The Braves, and still what is going to be talked about deep into the night and maybe all day tomorrow, especially in Houston, is the bizarre occurrence in the 5th inning. With 2 down and nobody on, and Mike Hampton, the young starter, walked 4 consecutive hitters. And there'll be a lot of second guessing in terms of why was he still in there to issue all 4 walks.
Should they have brought the right-hand pitcher in?
He had walked Chipper Jones and McGriff, bringing up the right-handed batting Lopez, but he never even had a right-hander warming up in the bullpen. He walked Lopez Lopez to load him, and then Andrew Jones, another right-hander, was up, and he walked him to force in a run, and that's when Hampton was removed. And of course, Bobby Cox was able to, in effect, trump Dierker's move. He brought in the lefty Magnante with Klesko due up, and he brought in Colbert, his right-handed pinch-hitting specialist. And he promptly delivered a 2-run single, the only hit of what was a 3-run fifth-inning rally for the Braves. Now it is 7-3. They have added to their total here in the sixth. And it's 3-2 to Javi Lopez. 0 for 2 with a walk in this game. At any rate, this will be talked about because of the way it turned out. And Hampton then found himself, retired Lopez or whatever after a couple of walks. There would be nothing to talk about.
Well, the Braves really have not done very much offensively. They wound up, they've got 8 base on balls.
8 lost, all thrown by Hampton.
They had just the 2 hits until Colburn got the third hit of the ball game for the Braves.
And there's another walk, the 9th walk of the day. This one goes to Lopez, and the bases are loaded for Andrew Jones, the rookie out of Curacao. He speaks 4 languages: English, Spanish, Dutch, and the local dialect, Papamiento. Andrew Jones, who also speaks baseball. Bases loaded, Chipper Jones, Fred McGriff, and Javi Lopez. That's it, first inning, just walked. Andrew Jones, for the 2nd inning in a row, comes to bat with the bases loaded. He walked to force in the go-ahead run in the 5th.
Watching Ramon Garcia, he does give you a ball to swing at, to work with.
Just missing ball 1. Slider to the inside.
Does not have an overpowering fastball. Javi Lopez had a couple of good swings at it.
Tom Glavine, the beneficiary of all of this offense. And if they really busted open here, he may not come back to pitch the 7th. Check swing. And Jones has great speed. Here's the throw. Bagwell. Jones has scored, and so has McGriff. 9-3 Astros trailing the Braves. The Braves have started to bust it wide open. Spires with the high throw, and Bagwell trying to stay on the bag for it. And it popped off the edge of his glove.
Playing against the Atlanta Braves, 9 base on balls, throwing the ball away. You just can't compete if you do that kind of thing against a team that has the kind of experience in postseason play that the Atlanta Braves do. Ball just up over top of his glove, and really the ball looked like it should have been caught by Jeff Bagwell.
He just did not come up. You know, if he'd come off the bag, 1 run would have scored, because I don't think he would have been able to get back in time to get Andrew Jones, but it is going to be scored an error all the way on Bagwell. 2 runs in, it is 9-3. And counting. Bautista for the single. Lopez has scored. Andrew Jones has scored, and Bautista is out at second easily. But the Braves have busted it wide open. A 5-run 6th-inning rally. 11-3 Atlanta, and we'll see if Glavine is coming back out. Stay with us.
Don't forget, this is just the beginning of another doubleheader day. We can only hope for as exciting a game in Game 2 as we had in Miami yesterday when Edgar Renteria won it off Roberto Hernandez. It's Estes against Leiter, but now back to John and Reggie.
All right, Gary. Estes, 19-5. The Giants all year long were winning ball games when they had to, and now they definitely have a must-win situation today in Florida. So we'll see there as Mike Cather comes on. We were here for a Sunday night baseball telecast the Sunday after the All-Star break, and that's when Cather and 2 other rookies first arrived. The Braves changed half of their bullpen in 1 day. Cather, Kevin Millwood, and Chad Fox were all summoned from the minor leagues the same day. And Cather pitched real well. He made the postseason roster as Derek Bell stands in against him. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Now, because the Braves busted this game wide open, Tom Glavine has been taken out of the game after throwing 117 pitches. He led off the 6th inning with a single, starting that 5-run rally. But it was clear Bobby Cox intended to keep him in there if the game stayed relatively close. So this sort of was a luxury for Bobby Cox that they busted it open, able to get Glavine out of there without having to really maybe overwork him and having throw more pitches than he would have liked.
Showing you the kind of pitching that Atlanta does have, the kind of pitcher that Tom Glavine is. He doesn't pitch well. He still comes up with a very fine performance tonight. The Braves scoring a bunch of runs, which allows them to get the young people into the playoffs and postseason at a time when it's not that important.
Graffinino has thrown out Bell, and there is 1 away. More baseball. And also, tomorrow we'll have, after baseball tonight at 12:30, at 3:30, it will be the Orioles and Mariners. Let me just start over again. 4 o'clock Eastern, the Orioles and Mariners, and we'll have it for you from the Kingdom. 0-1 to Bagwell. Strike out of Bagwell, who has walked and twice struck out. Bagwell has walked, twice struck out in the series. He is now 0 for 6 with 4 strikeouts. We're back to 1983. Mike Schmidt, after having a huge year for the Phillies, went into the World Series against the Baltimore Orioles, who also had a strong staff. And he went 1 for 20. And down on strikes for the 3rd consecutive time is Bagwell.
Jeff fooled on this pitch. Just a little frisbee, if you will, a little sidearm slider, change speeds. Bagwell out in front. And looks bad right there. I'm sure Jeff will be looking forward to getting back home and getting a bit more comfortable. Home cooking.
Game 3 of this series scheduled for 3 o'clock Houston time on Friday at the Astrodome. 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. Shane Reynolds would go for the Astros, or will go in that ball game against John Smoltz. Chipper Jones. Nice play. Gonzalez retired. It's a 3-up and 3-down inning for Cather. 11-3 Atlanta. Coming up from Miami, Bobby Bonilla there on the left. Barry Bonds, the former teammates with the Pirates. Gary Sheffield. They'll be going head-to-head from Pro Players Stadium. It's the Giants and the Marlins. Sean Estes, 19-5 for San Francisco against Al Leiter, 11-9 for the Marlins. And here in Atlanta, things have gotten out of hand for the Houston Astros. They are trailing 11-3, and Jose Lima comes on to pitch now with Tony Graffinino at the plate, and it is 0-1. But yesterday, we saw a classic pitchers duel, a 2-1 ball game, as Maddox was just a little bit better than Kyle. But today, we've seen the Astros just really self-destruct, Reggie.
Well, the base on balls, throwing the ball away. I mentioned earlier, John, you cannot play baseball with a bunch of mistakes in it against the experience of the kind of ball club that the Atlanta Braves have. Built on outstanding pitching, built with good defense. They don't make those kind of mistakes.
2 balls and a strike to Graffinino, who is flying to left, walked and grounded to second. And that sudden wildness by Hampton, although it was extraordinary, is now without precedent. That one might have hit Ausmus in the arm. The count is 2-2. In 1974, the year the Oakland Athletics won their 3rd consecutive World Series, they were the perennial postseason team, the juggernaut at that time. They had a right fielder by the name of Reggie Jackson, and they played a very good Baltimore ball club in the playoffs in '74. And in the final game,
that's right,
Oakland got 1 hit,
a one-hitter,
and won the game against Mike Cuellar, 2-1. but Cuellar could not get the ball over the plate as he walked.
I want to say 11. I believe there were 11 base on balls in that game. Is that correct?
Well, it's up around that total. I know at least 8 or 9 by Cuellar himself, but 1 with the bases loaded to drive in the first run that Oakland got in that game.
Right.
There's the walk to Graffinino. And that'll bring up Tom Glavine. And they went on to win the game 2-1. Sal Bando driving in, or being driven in by Reggie Jackson, who hit one off the left field wall for the only hit that Oakland got. I was just a young kid broadcaster at that time, Reggie, for the Oakland Athletics. I remember joking with you after the game saying, hey, I knew if you guys got a hit, you'd win today.
Well, it just goes to show you what base on balls will do to you, John. They will absolutely kill you.
I mean, Cuellar, a great pitcher, a Cy Young Award winner, just couldn't get the ball over the plate that day. Mike Cather is the hitter. Only the second time in the big leagues that he's come to bat. 11-3. Atlanta is on top here. Jose Lima, the fourth Astros pitcher of the game. And the strikeout. Now let's go to our colleague Kevin Kennedy.
Okay, what is a key defensive play in this game? Andrew Jones in right field in the top of the 6th inning, 2 on, 2 out. Craig Biggio at the plate. Very fundamentally sound. Down 3 runs, the Astros. Watch this play. Watch his head as he watches the ball. Then he picks up the wall, knows exactly where he's at in relation to the wall, going into foul territory. He'll finish this play by making the catch, by gauging the jump right here. Makes the play. Biggio does not get another turn at the plate.
Yeah, the big play. I mean, if he doesn't catch that ball, who knows? Biggio might hit a 3-run homer. He might hit a tweener somewhere. Bell and Bagwell both might have hit in that inning. But Andrew Jones made the play. And that's one of the things they really like about him. He was a young guy with so many talents, but already they say he's got the ability to be a Gold Glover in the outfield. We've seen that today.
I was fortunate to have a conversation before the game with Stan Kasten of the Atlanta Braves, as well as John Scherholz. And the important thing that they talked about, because I mentioned to them, your top player with home runs is in the 20s. Are you concerned about that? They said, Reggie, we know we're built on pitching. Our first concern is getting good defense and speed behind that pitching. Proof in the pudding.
Lofton to second. They get one there. Back to first, and Lofton has been doubled up. Biggio to Gutierrez to Bagwell. Lofton is 0 for 4 with a walk today. 11-3 Atlanta. And a ball inside to Thomas Howard, the pinch hitter. As we go to the top of the 8th inning, Mike Cather on the mound. Howard hitting for the pitcher. Lima, 2-0 the count. Thomas Howard, a veteran. One time with the Cleveland Indians. 247 for the year. He is 12 for 45 as a pinch hitter. 267 as a pinch hitter. 3-0. Also runs pretty well. Pretty good outfielder. He's a handyman to have in a ball club. Switch hitter.
The way Cather throws, he is certainly better for a left-hand hitter because the ball's coming into you. You can get a complete view of his motion as a left-hand hitter. A little tougher to see from the right-hand hitter's point of view.
And he gets a walk. And by the way, let me correct myself. He used to be a pinch hitter. Was used so little as a right-handed batter. They finally just gave it up and said, I'm just going to hit left-handed exclusively. Now Billy Spires will bat. 11-3 for Atlanta. So the Astros are looking very much now as though they'll have to let it all hang out on Friday at the Astrodome. The first game in Houston will be a do or die for the Astros, it appears. On Friday, that is the scenario the Braves were seeking here when they, as the team with the best record in the National League, were going to be hosting the team with the worst record of any team qualifying for the playoffs. And yet the Braves would have to play fewer games at home were this series to go all the way through. In other words, if there is a home field advantage to be had in a best of 5, the Astros are the ones that get it, because that is predetermined before the season ever begins. You get one there, to Blauser, but the return is not in time. Spires, he is safe at first.
And that is a huge conversation, John, talking about who should get the advantage. It should be decided during the season where the home field advantage is, because you wind up with the Yankees really being comfortable with the fact that they play their first 2 games at home. Baltimore, with the best record in baseball, winds up having to go on the road the first couple of games. Joe Morgan mentioned he felt it should be 2-2-1, and that's what I like.
There's a strike to Gutierrez, who is 1 for 3. Well,
2 games at the best records ballpark, the team with the best record ballpark, then 2 on the road, then back for the last game at home.
So you get to start at home and finish at home if necessary.
Correct.
Well, it worked against Cleveland last year. They were playing the wild card team, the Orioles, after they had the best record in the league, 99 wins. And Baltimore won the first 2 at home. And it was close to impossible at that point for Cleveland to be able to dig itself out of that jam, even with 3 at home. It's been done, but not often.
The best way of doing it, really, Peter Pasquarelli says to me, and I certainly do agree with him, is just have a best of 7 series. That eliminates all the questions.
Well, Bobby Cox certainly agrees with that. He's been sort of lobbying for that.
And they really shouldn't have it alternating year to year as far as if it should be in the East or the West. The team with the best record should always be a host. And why would you have the best record? What's the reward, in other words?
Yeah. Well, especially when you play it the way we do now with a balanced schedule. I mean, everybody plays basically the same schedule. But the Astros played the same schedule virtually that the Braves played. So, I mean, clearly the Braves earned their best record playing the same people the Astros played.
Who does these schedules?
I think Joe.
Joe?
Now, maybe not. He's too busy. Down the right field line. Battling the sun, Andrew Jones. Gutierrez is out. 2 men down. College football comes your way tomorrow night on ESPN, starting at 7:30 Eastern, when Nelly. The weekend kickoff show sets the table for the entire weekend's action. Then stick around with the Utah Utes and the Fresno State Bulldogs. It's college football on ESPN, your home for college football. Oh, boy.
What's the matter with you? You all right?
I'm excited. I saw Roy Firestone this week. I'm doing my Roy Firestone, doing Keith Jackson impression. Roy does Keith. I do Roy doing Keith. It's a real specialty. That's a called strike to another pinch hitter. Bobby Abreu is pinch hitting for Brad Ausmus. Ausmus had a huge base hit in the 4th that seemed huge at the time. It was 3-0. He delivered a 2-run double to make it 3-2. Get him right back in the game. Quickly, 2 strikes to Abreu. 2 down. Spires at first in the 8th. 11-3 Atlanta. As Ausmus now out of the game. Changeup misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Abreu.
Larry Dierker not forgetting that he's going to need some of these players possibly in Houston, so to get them a couple of at-bats, not to have them go without swinging the bat or seeing live pitching for 4 or 5 days in a row.
Runner goes. Spires makes it uncontested into second base. The count to Abreu goes to 2-2. Imagine I'll credit him with a steal on that one. Defensive indifference from Biggio and Bagwell. They were the Astros leaders all year long, and of course Derek Bell, 3rd in the club in home runs and RBIs. And the 3 of them have gone hitless for the series up till now. 0 for 22. Strike 3 called. The 8th man of the game left on by the Astros. Blauser, Chipper Jones, McGriff coming up. 11-3 Atlanta. At Pro Player Stadium in Miami, Game 2 of the Giants and Marlins divisional series is getting ready to crank up. Al Leiter heating up in the bullpen for Florida. 11-9 in the regular season. And Sean Estes, first full year in the big leagues, he was 19-5. And they'll be going head-to-head. The Giants and the Marlins coming up next on ESPN. Meanwhile, here in Atlanta, I'm John Miller with Reggie Jackson. Glad to have you with us. And the new pitcher, Billy Wagner, ordinarily the closer for the Astros, on to face Jeff Blauser, with Chipper Jones and Fred McGriff to follow. Wagner, who went into a slump for a while, only to seemingly recover the last couple of weeks of the year. In 66 and 2/3 innings, he had 106 strikeouts, and you see 97 miles an hour, and he's not a big, powerful-looking guy.
No, he's not. I talked to him before the ball game today. He's about 5'10", must go about 180 pounds, but this guy is an absolute flamethrower. He's touched 100 miles an hour many times.
And back to the screen.
Gives you somewhat of a similar look as far as being small or slight of build, if you will, of the great Ron Guidry, who touched 95 and above, about 5'11", but only weighed about 165 when he got on the scales completely in all of his clothes.
And this guy looks, he looks actually very large compared to Guidry. I mean, he was just real slender out there. Louisiana Lightning. Well, Wagner got a little lightning himself. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Shane Reynolds charting pitches. They'll all be on his shoulders come Friday at the Astrodome. He'll have the task of facing John Smoltz and trying to keep the Astros alive in this series at the Dome on Friday. And a curveball is ripped into left field. A base hit for Blauser. It was Blauser's 3-run homer in the 3rd inning that put the Atlanta Braves ahead. And the aerial views from above Turner Field today being provided by the Pennzoil Copter Can. Glad to have them with us. And you might have seen that Tony Pena is also now the catcher for the Astros. So Pena behind the plate with Wagner on the mound as we start the 8th inning. Chipper Jones, the hitter now. You know, Chipper Jones went to a private school, a prep school in high school. And there were those who thought that he was not a battler, that, you know, he was from a privileged background. And he says that one day, when about 20, 25 scouts were in the stands when he was in high school, and during batting practice, he and a teammate got into some bad blood and had a fight. And that his stock went up with many of those scouts. He said, look at that guy, he's a battler. And he said that he was not from a privileged background, a middle-class background, and he was able to go to the private school, but he says he's always been a battler to try and get whatever he's been able to achieve.
I like watching Chipper Jones. He reminds me of just a good old-fashioned baseball player. Hardball is the new term, hardball player. Just reminds me of a guy that comes to the ballpark every day and loves going about his work.
2-2 to Chipper Jones, the Braves' RBI leader in 21 homers, 111 runs batted in. Blauser at first. The curveball, that's foul. Well, it's interesting, again, we were talking about this earlier. Here's a Braves fan feeling very, very comfortable with this big lead today. Very relaxed about this one now. The Braves have it well in hand, 11-3. And again, as we mentioned earlier, Larry Dierker will be answering a lot of questions about leaving Hampton in the ball game and why he left him in so long when he walked 4 in a row in the 5th inning. And down is Chipper Jones. In fact, we talked to Larry Dierker before the series about his philosophy, and I think he said some revealing things that may help explain why Hampton was still in there.
From one year to the next, your chances of having good middle relief pitchers are not good. So if we can get our starters to pitch through those innings, the 6th, 7th, and 8th, and get the ball all the way to the closer, I think we have an advantage. And that's the way it was when I pitched, and so I know these guys can do it. It's just a matter of changing the way they think about their start. And I think most of them have embraced it. You know, now they really don't want to come out. They want me to let them pitch a complete game.
So that was the philosophy going in. And in that way, Reg, I guess he's been true to his philosophy. You talked about not changing your approach, staying in your game plan, and that was his game plan for most of the season.
Well, the nice thing about Larry Dierker, he does bring the old school back to the game. That's very important. And they've gotten now where they have 5-man rotations. They have pitchers that get bonuses for 200 innings, and really, if they set their mind to it, they certainly can go 250, 300 innings. Many players just as recently as the 70s pitched 300 innings a season, and it did not shorten their careers. Jim Palmer, Catfish Hunter, players like that.
Well, Darrell Kyle threw 255 and 2/3. Hampton, today's starter, 223. Chris Holt, the 4th starter, pitched 210 innings. And Shane Reynolds, who will pitch in the ball game Friday, was well on his way to over 200 innings before he had to have some knee surgery. Lopez, the hitter. By the way, when we were listening to Dierker, you saw the base hit by Fred McGriff. His 2nd consecutive hit after being hitless up till then. Waller's in the bullpen.
And the important thing about Freddie McGriff's base hits is he's starting to hit the ball the other way, John. That's showing you that he's using the field. He's not trying to pull the ball. That makes him a better hitter, a more productive hitter, and that's important for the Atlanta Braves with the great pitching that they have.
Javi Lopez, 2 on, 1 out. Wow.
And you'll never be able to catch up to that ball. The ball up and out of the strike zone like that. That's just, he's just waving, saying hello to it. Because that ball at 99, 98, 100 miles an hour, it's a dream if you think you're going to hit this ball. I don't know if it's a dream, it's probably a nightmare.
All right, well, let's see if he goes right back up there again. 0-2 the count. Comes in with a breaking ball, and Lopez spanked it hard, but foul.
It looks like to me what Lopez is doing is just starting the bat because of the amount of the velocity that Wagner has. He just say, hey, I'm going to start swinging.
So, and that being said, why come back with a breaking ball?
Practice.
He's working on a few things. Breaking ball. That is a fair ball. Coming in to score is Blauser. Now as the ball gets away, here comes McGriff, and he scores. And so it goes for the Astros on this day. 13-3 as Gonzalez had some problems out there with that one.
Luis Gonzalez really kind of relying on the score. I guess he's got his head into the score. His intensity is down. Wagner makes the mistake of leaving a breaking ball out over the plate. Lopez had no chance when he was trying to put that fastball in play. He rockets the ball down into the corner, a breaking ball, not nearly as much speed on it. And there you see now, it just does not look as though, to me, that Gonzalez had his mind into that.
So Lopez is credited, apparently, with a 2-run double. And it is 13-3. The batter, Andrew Jones, and the count goes to 2-0. You know, you said after that first breaking ball to Lopez, which he had fouled, that maybe he's just working on it. Well, with this score, I mean, Wagner, they feel, needs some work on that stuff. He's got the great fastball, but if he throws anything else, he's just been ordinary. He's been hanging the breaking ball, and when he went into that slump, guys were even able to sit on his fastball because he just didn't get anything else over and wasn't really confident in throwing anything else. They knew what was coming.
You know, I firmly believe with a 98 to 100 mile an hour fastball, you can make a living with that. You don't need anything else. He may not have been throwing as hard or been muscling the ball, which will take some velocity off your pitches. But anyone that throws 98 to 100 with this kind of consistency, he doesn't need much else if he's just pitching an inning or two. You have that kind of velocity, you can miss a bat and throw it right down the middle.
And he must have with 106 strikeouts in 66 and 2/3 innings. Breaking for third, Lopez. Gutierrez throws out Andrew Jones. Andrew now 0 for 4 today with a walk. By the way, they give Lopez a double, but only 1 RBI. And an error is charged to Luis Gonzalez, allowing McGriff to score the second run on the play. 13-3 Atlanta. Well, this may be a little frightening flashback for Cardinals fans to the League Championship Series last year when the Braves down 3-1, and that one ricochets back from the backstop over to Tony Pena. 1 ball and no strikes. The Braves won the last 3 games of that series and annihilated them every day. Finally winning the clincher 15-0.
They really looked unbeatable at that time. The Atlanta Braves were so dominant during that series that they really put fright in every other team in baseball except the Bombers from New York.
Yeah, and they annihilated the Yankees the first game and took a 2-0 lead and then went home to Atlanta and never won another game. The Yankees turned it around and won the World Series in 6. That's a foul. I think that was one of the real extraordinary turnarounds. David Cohn got the big win going back to Atlanta. The first win in the series, and then they had that 6-0 deficit. One of the great, most exciting World Series games in a long, long while, and they won the game finally in extra innings on Boggs hit. Leyritz had the 3-run homer to tie it.
That was one of the biggest home runs, one of the biggest hits I've ever witnessed in baseball in a meaningful ball game.
And last night, there were the Yankees down 6-1 to Cleveland, and they came back and won that one. Shades of that 4th game of last year's World Series. Well, the bat exploded, but the ball was foul.
See, there's a perfect example of what Billy Wagner can do. I firmly believe that he can show you that he has a breaking ball, but there really isn't a hitter in baseball, the great ones, from Griffey to Thomas to Edgar Martinez to Tony Gwynn. No one's going to look for this guy's breaking ball. You need to set on this guy's fastball because it's just too good. It's too big, and he gets by with it. For him to throw a breaking ball, I don't know if it's that important.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Andrew Jones. Lopez at third base. Let's see, where am I? I'm not even looking at my own scorebook.
Atlanta.
Bautista is the hitter. Andrew Jones has grounded out.
Jones is having a glass of water.
So Andrew Jones with a new bat. Bautista with a new bat, as Andrew Jones is already out. Now coming up in just a couple of minutes, the ball game in Florida will be getting underway between the Giants and the Marlins. We're going to be taking you to that ball game for the beginning of it, and the rest of this game at that point will be seen on ESPN 2. So if you want to get in Houston, you're able to see this ball game on KTXH, and in Atlanta on WSB television, or on ESPN 2 for those of you with the cable, and around the country on ESPN 2. Stay with us.
Welcome to Championship on Soccer.
We want to welcome our ESPN 2 audience to Turner Field in Atlanta. I know you've been watching the championship soccer match, and we welcome you now to Turner Field in Atlanta. This is John Miller along with Reggie Jackson. Game 2 of the division series in the National League between the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros, a game which was a very tight one until the 5th inning, when with a 3-3 score and 2 men and nobody on base, pitcher Mike Hampton of the Astros walked 4 consecutive hitters to fall behind 4-3, and it's been all Atlanta ever since. They lead now 13-3, and they're 3 outs away from going up 2-0 in this series, with the series moving to Houston on Friday. Mark Wohlers, the ace closer of the Astros, and a real hard thrower, and a big guy who looks like he'd be a hard thrower, on the pitch now for the Braves.
Also a fellow who can touch 100 miles an hour. Getting some work in. Bobby Cox recognizing or taking this opportunity to get some of his pitchers that he's going to count on some work.
Let's take a look now at some of the highlights for those of you who have just joined us. In the 3rd inning, Jeff Blauser put the Braves ahead with a 3-run homer against Hampton. But then Hampton, with a 3-3 ball game, started walking people. And then with the bases loaded and a 4-3 ball game, Coleman got a 2-run pinch hit single to make it 6-3. Andrew Jones then in the 6th inning, with 2 men on and 2 men out, made this sensational catch against Biggio to end the 6th inning. And then the Braves went on to score 5 in their half of the 6th to bust it open, and then 2 more in the 8th inning. And it is a 13-3 ball game for the Atlanta Braves. Now, as soon as this ball game is over, Those of you who are watching the soccer game will be transported right back to the soccer match here on ESPN2. Chuck E. Carr will lead it off now against Mark Wohlers.
Tell me about the E.
He's not Chucky. He's Chuck E.
Is that how he calls himself?
Yeah. Now you're Reggie, but he is Chuck E.
Right. My E is spelled with a G-I-E.
Yeah. You're Reggie, but he is Chuck E.
Right.
Okay. Just want to get that straight.
I changed my name this month anyway.
What is it now? Did you just formally go to Mr. October? Is that not legal?
I'm going to copyright it. If you have a good day now in October, they call you Mr. October.
One ball, one strike to Chuck Carr. Change up. And Wohlers got it over the outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Might have been the splitter that he throws.
It's one of the pitches that got him in trouble last year in that World Series ball game. He threw a slider or a splitter that was up in the strike zone, the Leyritz.
Yeah, slider, I believe. The Leyritz launched over the wall of the old ballpark. And the count goes to 2-2. Biggio on deck, and then Bell due up third in the inning. 13-3 Atlanta. Well, it'll be interesting to see if the Yankees are able to make it back to the World Series. Even though they won last night, they had to be very concerned about the outing of David Cone, coming back from the tendonitis that put him on the shelf for several weeks. And he only made a couple of starts before the end of the regular season. And really was not sharp last night, to say the least. A 5-run first inning against him. There's the splitter, strike 3. And another view from the Pennzoil Copter Cam. Thanks to them. Glad to have them with us here from Turner Field. Next week, the Braves will be hoping to return here for the League Championship Series. They'll need, as it appears now, 1 win in Houston. They've got Smoltz set to go Friday if he doesn't get it. They have Nagel, a 20-game winner, set to go Saturday.
4th starter.
It's your 4th
20-game winner.
Yeah. It's the only one of the 4 starters who has not yet won a Cy Young Award. Smoltz, of course, won it last year. Biggio, the hitter. He's 0 for 3 today, 0 for 7 for the series.
You think the Killer Bees are going to need to get back on the beam when they get back home?
Yeah. Well, they'll have the home crowd trying to spur them on. Biggio beats it out for his first hit.
The nice thing about that base hit, John, is he'll give him at least a psychological lift. He won't go home with a goose egg. He'll have something to show for it. At least he got off the schneid.
Now Bell, who would also like to get off that schneid, and then behind him, Bagwell. All 3 of them hitless until just now. Biggio getting his first an infield hit.
Certainly has been some history over the past few years. The Boston Red Sox, Canseco, and a couple of their players struggling during the postseason, where players have just not performed well, and it certainly does carry on into the next season and does affect you mentally and emotionally.
Biggio running, and the ball is outside to Bell. Biggio makes it in without any kind of a play. By the way, for those of you who are watching the soccer match, Manchester United has just scored to go ahead of Juventus 2-1 in the soccer match.
Juventus from Italy.
2 great soccer traditions right there.
That's the great team in Europe.
From Italy, and then Manchester United from England. Biggio holding on. Bowser throws out Bell, and now one last chance for Bagwell. Bell is 0 for 5 today.
It'll be interesting to see what happens as the playoffs go further, is if these shadows will affect any of the starting times. These starting times, the ball game starts here around 4 or 5 o'clock. That shadow is going to affect the hitter and the performance as well.
And they may have that problem in Florida. That game just starting down there. Here's Bagwell, 0 for 3, 3 consecutive strikeouts today after walking. And that's ball 1.
Not really an important here in the outcome of the game, important base hit, but it certainly would be important just for the psychic, the mental frame of mind for Jeff Bagwell.
1-0 to Bagwell. A high foul to go out of play. Tomorrow, Joe Morgan and I will greet you from the Kingdome in Seattle with Game 2 of the Baltimore and Seattle series. That'll be Scott Erickson and Jamie Moyer at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific. And of course, over on ESPN right now, the Giants and the Marlins are getting underway tonight at 8 o'clock on NBC. Game 1 of the Orioles and Mariners. That's where Joe is tonight. He left me, Reg. So I love you now. And the splitter is low. 2-1 the count. So as soon as the ball game is over, remember, we will be taking you back to the soccer match between Manchester United and Juventus. 13-3 Atlanta. 2 down in the 9th inning. 2-1 the count to Bagwell. And that's another foul off the right field side. 2-2 the count. Greg Maddux yesterday, he had to be just right because the Braves only got him 2 runs and 2 hits worth of support. But he was good enough. Now today, the Braves breaking it wide open in the middle innings in a laugher. 1 strike away from officially going up. 2 games to none in the best of 5. And the shadows lengthening across home plate. Bagwell now entirely in the shadows here of the late afternoon. Lofton is right there. And the Braves are 1 win away from moving on to the National League Championship Series. 13-3 the final. John Miller for Reggie Jackson from Atlanta. We'll see you tomorrow on ESPN from Seattle. Now let's go to JP Dellacamera with soccer.